Losing is the biggest reason a person changes. Dauernd, way. 1 year later. I say subject, shouted the girl with the hair in a ponytail. One hand ruffled his waist, while the other hand was pointing at the man who was kneeling in front of him. I didn't mean to. The man looked up, irritating Candy even more. Do you understand human language, don't you? I told you to submit. Yes, submit, shouted the girl once again. Even all the students who watched the morning drama in the school corridor, no one made a sound. It is fun watching. The man with the name tag Bandiatere finally looked down. Although confused what wrong. He confirmed where his glasses were starting to fall. There was no way he could be humiliated like this. Just for accidentally nudging Candy, right? Beer, the slightly blackish-colored water that came from the old mop bucket, managed to wet Bandy's entire body. You don't have to ask who did it. It is definitely Aluna Candy. The girl with the black slayer and the white pattern wrapped around her hand had an innocent look. Because you nudged me. I almost hit this bucket. Crazy. Getting worse is girl. It is incredibly beautiful. But the barbecue is amazing too. Like the late author always said, Candy is an angel. I think the angel of death. Wow. This is bad. Boss is mad. From afar, 7 men who were Candy's subordinates tapped their forehead. Separate it. It is gone. Sergio immediately approached Candy, followed by 6 other friends. Boss already. It is still early. Larai Alvin, trying to pull the girl from his place. Blame this guy. Already made me emotional in the morning. Boss is better off to the cafeteria. Let us take care of this, said Sergio. Candy threw down the origin of the bucket she was holding, nearly hitting several students who were watching. Take care of that. Annoyed before walking away, followed by several men behind who called him boss. From a distance, there were 2 men who had been just busy paying attention. That is the queen of Matahari High School. Aluna Candy, said the boy with the name tag Junio Salim on his uniform. Aluna Candy. Candy untied her hair, letting the brunette brown hair loose. It doubled Candy's beauty because this girl rarely unraveled her hair. Boss hot fan, Woy fan, said Sergio. His 2 friends swiftly took the plastic plate in front of them which was served to eat fried foods, making him a fan for the boss. Candy was silent. Her head was focused on looking down at her 2 hands which were connected. The girl's emotions became increasingly uncontrollable. She also did not understand why she hated men more and more each day. Except for those in front of him. Please note, the 4 guys in front of him are 4 of the 7 core Eagles 2nd generation. The first is Sergio Abraham, the guy with the Arabic face that can be said to be the closest to Candy, because Sergio is Ather's cousin. Then there are Alvin, Leo, Putra, Ari, and King. These 5 boys, 1 species. Comedian, master of FIP at TikTok and ignorant. If they are united again, it feels like your mouth can't stay still because you laugh. Only 6. Yes. The last is gold. His name is Athariq Harris Sanjaya. 2nd generation Eagle chairman. Its existence on God's side. Ather died 1 year ago, due to a car accident that happened to him. The cause is currently unknown, or may be covered up. That incident also made the figure of the girl next to them change. Candy, who was a soft and spoiled girl, has earned the title Angel. Turns 180 degrees. Appearance to the degree of rudeness. The girl never showed her soft side again. On the contrary. All they know, and Aluna Candy is a strong woman who hates men. Indeed. Sometimes, loss is the biggest reason a person changes. We've already cleaned up the earlier bastard boss Cello. It is safe to control, as long as Ari is around. Everyone's down. The 3 boys who were absent had accompanied Candy to the cafeteria. Now they are back. Dog style, which only takes care of me and Leo. Lo's part of taking care of girls as well as Mode. Selek Putra, the important thing is, I help take care. Ari grinned, showing his crooked teeth which made the boy look cute. I am going home. Break up, Candy. Her annoyance was out of control. She needed to sit on the balcony of her house looking at the garden now. Come on, ready? We'll follow the boss. Ari stands up first. When it comes to leaving school, Ari likes it. Permission to bebeb first. Yeah, said King, grabbing his cell phone, then texting his girlfriend, Queen 11th grader. 1 year under them. Me too, said Putra. Contacting his lover Putri, Sergio chuckled. Don't you 3 have permission too? I am fighting with Libra, Leo said. I've run out of quota. Can't contact Salsa, Alvin said. I am single, so I don't need to contact anyone. Ari laughed mockingly. Stefani, where do you want to go? Rai, said King. I keep it deep in my heart. I'll immediately Hallelin him later. Again, Ari is proud of himself. Embarrassed, Candy rose from her position. Attracts the attention of the 6 handsome boys. Sergio spoke first. Where Andy? Toilets. You are all waiting in the parking lot. The girl then walked away without looking back. As he said, he walked towards the toilet. After entering one of the toilet cubicles, Candy sat herself down. Cover your face with both hands. He was really confused. As if he was being controlled, his emotions became increasingly unstable. Has Candy gone crazy? All her thoughts were shattered when she heard the clatter of shoes, accompanied by the blackout that made the toilet dark. The girl looked up. Hey, he shouted. But there was no answer. Brother. Candy's cubicle door was kicked violently. Made the girl who was in it triple their heart, startled. Don't mess with me. Candy had moved from her position, ready to open the door when the lights suddenly came back on. The girl came out of there. Looked around her. Empty, no one but himself. Candy paused but then shook her head. The girl walked towards the glass, but what she saw made her froze. Lo, should be dead. 3 words. Written on the toilet glass in red ink resembled blood, left unprepared without any separation. Really, it feels like I am slowly breaking down. Teen. Follow before reading. Vote, Colorado MN. Candy caught her breath. The girl slowly came out of the toilet, with hands that are holding your chest, and gasping for breath. He turned around, was about to walk into the parking lot to meet Sergio and his other friends. However, his body crashed into something that would make him nearly fall, if only there wasn't a muscular hand that reflexively tugged at him. Candy looked up to find a pair of sharp brown eyes staring at her eyes intensely. Those eyes, Candy knew someone who had eyes like that. A Thar. Candy said reflexively, her hand raised to touch the face covered in the black mask. The brown-eyed boy frowned. Who are you saying? As soon as Candy realized from her reverie, she immediately withdrew from her position. The girl shook her head strongly. Once again glanced at the boy in front of her. High posture, wearing a gray hoodie with even gray pants. His face is covered with a black mask, so that it only shows the forehead and eyes. It can't be a Thar. Impossible. Candy saw that Ather's body was destroyed a year ago. Candy saw her lover being buried in the ground herself. Not him. Sorry. Candy then left. The boy watched Candy leave until the girl's back disappeared. When he was about to leave too, he patted his back hard. What are you doing, Indra? It is Junio. That guy just came back from the cafeteria after buying a cup of milk coffee. It is okay, I had the wrong toilet, said Andra, the brown-eyed boy. You just go to the girls' toilet. Junio scoffed. What are you doing with this item of mask anyway? Not all hat items. Glasses, so it is like Korean idols who are afraid of being followed by dispatch. Junio chuckled. Don't get me wrong, to keep it cool, Junio is a true fanboy. All right. Ah, better to class, said Andra. EOCO. Junio followed Andra's steps. However, his slanted eyes caught something wrong with Andra's hand. Iomiona. Dangson, Sun, Yoon Eodioj Dusasubnika. Junio grabbed Andra's hand, which had a red spot there. Theo, my God. What happened to your hand, asterisk? Why don't you speak strange language? I don't understand, Andra annoyed. Withdraw his hand. Why don't you have blood on your hand? Junio excited. Not blood, Andra said. So what? That is not blood, anyway. Hey, I am going to the grave, Candy said when she arrived at the parking lot. Okay, said Sergio. They were used to Candy changing suddenly. No need to come. I want to be alone, the girl decided. He rode his black CBR 150cc motorbike, put on a matching jacket and helmet. Andy, are you sure we'll accompany you? DH, Sergio insisted. I don't want to. You all hang out, or just go to the base camp. I want to be alone. Don't you dare fight me. Candy's eyes looked sharp from behind her full-face helmet. That is a warning. That do not mess with what he said. The girl started the motorbike engine, then drove the black object towards the burial ground. Ather's new home in the past year. 20 minutes passed. Candy arrived and parked her vehicle. The girl got down, then walked to find the location of Athar's grave. It wasn't difficult, because the place was new. There are not many tombs and Athar's tombs are separate. Hi. Candy touched a gravestone made of white marble, inscribed with the name Atharik Haris Sanjaya in gold ink. Happy the 11th. Even though it has been a year, Candy still comes every 11th to commemorate her anniversary with Athar. It is my birthday soon, Thar. Aren't you busy preparing surprises as usual? Candy brushed the tears that fell down her cheeks. Athar always gives unexpected surprises on Candy's special days. And Athar's surprise for his 17th birthday was memorable. Athar gives her farewell. When I heard the news you were gone, right then I hoped it was just your silly prank the umpteenth time. The girl laughed sadly. It has been a year, you don't want to stop. I miss you. 1 hour he was at the grave. Many things he told Athar even though there was no response. Only a gust of wind answered Candy's babbling. I think I am really crazy. Candy chuckled. The girl felt the atmosphere starting to change. The wind was blowing very hard, then stopped suddenly, noticing something was off. Candy turned around, feeling like someone had been watching her earlier. Sure enough, not far from Candy's current position, a man was staring at her. Candy narrowed her eyes to make her vision clear. That tall body, even though his face was now covered by a black mask, Candy was very sure. Athar. Right after that, the figure ran somewhere. If I were reborn into the world once again, I will still choose you, even if it is not beautiful in the end. Way. Don't forget to follow Wattpad. Me, CME will. Candy stopped chasing the figure. He immediately slapped his own cheek. Awake, Candy, awake. Candy's tears could no longer be contained. The bitter memories he tried to bury returned. Flash memory where his happy day became the day he hated the most. Candy still clearly remembers that day, when she foolishly waits in a garden decorated with surprises for her birthday, while at the same time everyone is grieving because of the accident that happened to Athar, even though no one blamed Candy. She punished herself anyway. Everyone knew that Athar had a car accident that day because he wanted to surprise Candy. Candy? The girl turned her head reflexively. He was almost surprised to find a man in a suit in front of him. Harris? That man? Harris Sanjaya, the father of Athar. It is true. I don't think so. How are you? Yes, Candy replied. The girl immediately wiped her tears. Harris smiled. He understood the girl's current situation. Candy must have been crying over her son. Therefore, Harris patted Candy's shoulder. Athar will always be by your side, Candy. Yes. Candy just nodded faintly. Me, leave first. The girl immediately walked away, leaving Harris alone. Candy could not possibly be strong around Athar's father. Her brain kept screaming that she was guilty. She doesn't deserve to be around Athar's family. How? Pa. Harris turned around when the tall boy with sharp brown eyes approached her. Papa has said what you said. Hide. When? After parking the motorbike, Candy immediately went into the house. His chest felt tight. His tears were not satisfied, but he had to endure it until he was in his room. Popping it all up while punching a punching bag that has recently become a place for Candy to vent. Candy! The call stopped Candy's steps. The girl hurriedly wiped the tears that still rolled down her cheeks, not wanting anyone to know that she had cried. Where do you come from? The question came from a woman in front of Candy. That was her mother. School. Me. Candy's mother raised her eyebrows. Are you really in school? No fighting. Skipping classes, No, I am in school, Candy said, rolling her eyes lazily. Very nice. Starla breathed a sigh of relief. At least today you don't cause trouble. Mommy just needs to take care of Marco. All right, me. Candy wants to go to the room first, okay? Wait a minute, honey. Hold, Starla. You don't want to accompany Mama to the salon. Pappy, you are going to go with Uncle Juna. Lazy Candy. Me. There are a lot of people in the salon. Of course, the name is also a salon. Graves are lonely. Starla laughed lightly, but not Candy. Already, me. I am tired. Annoyed Candy wanted to go to her room. Wait a minute. What is wrong, Candy? Mommy wants to say something important. Candy sighed. What? Here. Starla took out her cell phone, opened the video application with the black logo, and showed it to Candy. Make it like this, please. TikTok hot mama check. What? Why do you want to do this? Alay. Sometimes Candy gets annoyed with her overly slang mother. Alay what? NDI mommy's really hot, said Starla confidently. Poppy, you just fell in love. Whatever. Candy was annoyed and immediately went into her room, ignoring Starla's screams who forced her to make a hot mama check TikTok. Starla shook her head as Candy slammed the door shut. His attempts to interact with the girl had been very difficult. The past few months, the loss effect really had a big impact on Candy. He lost the figure of a friend and lover at one time. Starla knows the taste painful. Starla's cell phone rings, interrupting her activities. The woman sighed when she saw the name of a woman who called her almost every day. Starla immediately put the flat object on the ear after she shifted the green icon. Yes, Miss Nancy? Starla replied weakly. The woman sighed. My son is fighting again? Starla massaged her temples. This time the victim will enter what room, Mom? Ear, ICU, or the morgue? Marco had an argument with his classmate, Miss Starla. Girls, they're in the BP room now. I hope you can come. Fine. I am going to school now. Starla then hung up the phone. If in the past Diwa was the leader of the spiritists, not the leader of the gang, surely my children would memorize holy books every day, not fighting. Dumel Starla. In her room, Candy had just finished cleaning herself. The girl was about to take the headset in her bag as a starter pack for crying. However, instead of the headset he found, it was a letter. Intrigued, Candy opened the letter immediately, and immediately surprised when he saw the contents. The 20th of August is your special day. Candy immediately threw away the paper. It is her birthday. It is also the day of Athar's death. Heartbreak is not your reason to fall. Choi. If there is a part that you can't open, then I told you to follow. Do you? 1,000 votes. 1,000 comments for next. Yes, guys. Think this storyline is tired. The Eagle children have been waiting for Candy faithfully since 3 hours ago. The girl said she wanted to go to Athar's grave, but until now he hasn't returned. Even though they knew, Candy was never there for a moment. Will you please? Asked Alvin. No. I think PMS boss scary like a lion, said King. Boss Candy is like a lion every day, said Putra. By the way, have you seen television yet? Asked Airy. What? The virus in China, said the King. No. Margin's ad has come out. That means Ramadan will be soon, said Ari. Made his friends snort in annoyance. I think it is very important, said Leo. It is important. First, every Ramadan we fast also fight, said Athar. Said Ari reminded. I miss Athar, said King. Same. I still can't believe he doesn't exist anymore, added Sun. All right. Sergio's arrival interrupted their conversation. How, Candy has any news? Not yet, said Alvin. Sergio immediately picked up his cell phone, then dialed Candy's number. Not waiting long, the girl immediately picked up. Where are you? Asked Sergio. I am at home. Why don't you tell me when you come back? Sergio sighed. I think what is wrong with you? I am fine. Aren't you going to base camp? I want to be alone. If you need anything, let me know right away. Don't disappear or do anything weird, warned Sergio. Thanks, G. All right. Bye. Sergio then turned off the line. Candy is at home. She is not here, Sergio explained to his friends. Custom boss. If Athar's grave is down, Alvin said, let him calm down. Sergio stared in another direction. Suddenly losing someone you love. It is never easy to be sincere. Candy woke up with her eyes puffy, and her hands swollen from crying all night while punching a bag. That girl would really torture herself if she remembered the sad incident 1 year ago. She immediately got up and walked unsteadily to the bathroom to clean herself. Candy had glanced at herself in the glass. What a mess. Almost half an hour he was in the bathroom. Then he came out wearing a kimono towel. The girl immediately got ready to go to school, even though she was sure it was too late now. When ready, Candy left her room, drops below and is about to step into the garage, but Starla's call stops her. Aluna Candy, where are you going? Asked Starla. The woman approached Candy who wanted to exit through the door to the garage. School. Me, said Candy lazily. What school? Already late, said Starla, staring at the girl with a flat gaze. No need to go to school. Candy frowned. What are you doing, Mom? He asked, confused. Suddenly her mother told her not to go to school, even though every day her mother was angry when Candy didn't go to school. Mommy said, you don't have to go to school. That means you don't have to. Here you are. Starla then pulled Candy toward the dining table. What the heck, me? I want to go to school, Candy said. The girl followed where Starla pulled her. After arriving at the dinner table, Candy was surprised to see that her father and twin siblings were also there. Even though it is 9 o'clock in the morning, it is too late for Candy's father to go to the office, as well as his twin to go to school. Sit down, Starla ordered. But, me. Sit down, Candy. Starla glared. Can you please follow Mommy in one order? Candy snorted. Then the girl sat down. What are you doing? He asked. Wait here. Okay. Starla goes somewhere, leaving Candy with 2 handsome men in front of her. Candy turned to him. Poppy doesn't work. Holiday, said Diwa. Said your mother, a day off will not make us bankrupt. Candy rolled her eyes lazily. Indeed, her mother does it sometimes. Candy's gaze turned to her twin. Why don't you go to school, Co? Suspended, Marco said dismissively. As if it didn't matter. Fight you? Their godfather asked Marco. Marco nodded in response. How about your opponent? Is that normal, hospitalized, or died? Asked Diwa again. If he died, Pappy would have been contacted by the police. Marco shrugged. I don't think I'll make it to the hospital. I'll run away before Marco can leave. Aren't you fighting, NDI? The gods turned to Candy. Not yet, said the girl. Just one message, Poppy. Diwa looked seriously at Candy and Marco. What? Both answered simultaneously. If you fight, don't lose. Poppy likes to teach something wrong. Starla came back with a big cake. What is the cake, me? Asked Marco. Geez. It is both your birthdays. The neon hero whose hobby is fighting, have you forgotten? Starla places the cake that says Happy Birthday Candy and Marco on the table. Why is the name Marco down? Wasn't Marco born first? Marco protested when he saw his name below, not above. Why is my name there? I already said that I don't want to be braved. Like Marco, Candy also complained about names. The difference, however, was that the girl didn't want her name on the birthday cake. So if there are a lot of protests like this, whose gene line will be found? God speaking out as he looked at Starla. You don't have to protest much, Mommy doesn't like it. Starla looked at the horror of her 2 children. Make a wish, keep blowing the candle. Do not want. Compact, the 2 shook their heads. Pie. Starla looked at Diwa with a sullen face. Let's just find a new child who obeys. Not late yet. Are you joining the party? They all reflexively turned towards the source of the sound. Watching a man with a white diploma walk closer, carrying a large box wrapped in wrapping paper. Hi, Candy said dryly. I won't accept your nephew if you are feeling tired, said Arjuna, chuckling. Why only bring 1 box? Marco commented, seeing the big box Arjuna brought. Oh, this was left by the security guard. He said for Candy. Arjuna gave the box to Candy. Am's gift is too big to take in. Get out there. See for yourself. Arjuna winked at Marco. Marco immediately smiled broadly and immediately checked his gift on the page. Who is this from? Candy asked, staring at the box Arjuna had given her. Open it if you want to know, said Arjuna. Where are you chanting? Diwa asked, realizing that the friend who was now his brother had come himself to the salon with Barbie. Ah yes, Barbie is the name of Arjuna's only child and his wife, Michaela. Crazy Kawas, key H2. Marco said excitedly. After seeing the prize again, crazy the best. Pappy doesn't want to buy it. As long as you have uncle that you can spend the money on. Why is Pappy wasteful? Said the god. Arjuna drew a smile. Calm down. Wagalat, I know you are very stingy. That is why I bought Marco's gift from your investment in my office. And Dewa's words were interrupted when Starla closed her mouth. "We're not going to go bankrupt, honey. Take it easy." Arjuna chuckled when he saw the helpless god after all. 700 million wouldn't bankrupt a god, would it? For Candy. "It looks like your present will arrive tomorrow," said Arjuna, causing Dewa to turn to him. "My money? Again. Yes. You are their father. Candy doesn't need a present." The girl looked at all her family. "I brought this because I do not know who sent it." Then Candy returned to her room, carrying the big box. In her room, Candy put the box where it came from. He stared at the large box-shaped object. If only her eyes hadn't caught a small note earlier, she probably wouldn't have carried it into her room. The note reads, "The 20th of August is your special day." The same note he got yesterday. Candy immediately opened the box. She was sure the sender was the same person. Candy's hands shook when she saw the contents of the box. There are so many photos of her with Ather. All of them are only her and Ather who have them. The big box is just filled with pictures of Candy and Athar, and a piece of paper that says, "Happy Birthday." The same writing. "You are like an illusion. I can see and imagine, but I can't reach it. 10 votes. 10 comments for next." Candy's body crumpled to the floor, her legs weak and unable to bear her weight. The girl's hands trembled at the object in front of her. Plus now her eyes began to heat up. "Who?" he said softly with trembling lips. All these objects in front of him, only he and Ather have them. What this means? What? Who shipped all this stuff? Why the last few days Candy continues to be haunted? Why all these nonsense things always have to do with Athar? What are you aiming for? Ather is gone. Is it true that the purpose of all this is to get Candy killed too? Like the first terror he encountered in the school bathroom glass. Candy's cell phone rings, snapping her out of her reverie. The girl immediately grabbed the flat object. His forehead frowned when he found an unfamiliar number plastered on his cell phone screen. Candy chose to reject the call. She didn't want to pick up calls from people she didn't know. Plus, he is in a bad mood right now. The ringing of his cell phone has changed to a message tone. Candy immediately glanced at her cell phone, and she found a message from the number that had called her. 08576777. Hi. Candy. No longer. Candy shook her head. This was completely unacceptable. The message, "It is Ather's call to Candy." Candy's hands shook again. He immediately dialed the number. Every ring that sounded made his heart beat. Waiting for the connection to be lifted. "Sorry. The number you have dialed is not active or out of range." Candy sighed. That person really wanted to mess with her. Candy immediately left her room. He can't stay still. That person knows his house. Even now he has brought the late Ather to terrorize Candy. The girl went down to meet the security guard. Ignoring the calls of her parents and uncle, who saw Candy leaving in a hurry. "Sir," called Candy while meeting Mr. Joko, the security guard at Candy's house. "Yes, boss." Mr. Joko, who was relaxing, immediately stood up straight when he found his young boss. "Who gave me the big box?" "Big box, boss?" asked Pak Joko, confused. "Earlier, Uncle Juna brought in a large box wrapped in gifts," he said, entrusted by the security guard. Clearly Candy. "Oh yes, boss. Was escorted by an online motorcycle taxi," answered Mr. Joko. "Online motorcycle taxi?" Candy frowned. "Are real online motorcycle taxis just a disguise, sir?" "Well," Mr. Joko scratched his head, which was not itchy. "I don't know, boss. But Helmets and jackets look like Ori, not me. Then, where is the online motorcycle taxi, sir? To the outside of the complex, boss. It has been out of nowhere. I think it is already gone if you want to be chased. What is the matter, boss? Candy shook her head. It is okay, sir, thanks. Yes, boss. Mr. Joko nodded. Candy sighed. The girl stepped outside the fence of her house, staring at a park not far from where he stood. The garden. A year ago Candy was waiting for Athar there. I miss you, Thar. From behind the tree, a man who had been watching Candy's house pulled a smile. Hello. Aluna, Candy. Candy puts the flower bouquet she bought on top of Athar's grave. Her feelings are not calm, and can only be calm when she is in Athar's house. Today I got a package. Candy held the headstone. All pictures of us, things we only have. Help me, Thar. Give me a hint. Who? What? Why? Candy sighed heavily. It seemed that today he had cried too much. Until now he was no longer able to let out his tears. Goo. The ringing of the phone stopped Candy's words. The girl immediately grabbed her cell phone and shifted the green icon on the screen. What? Me? Where are you, dear? Why didn't you go away? Candy. To Athar's grave. Me. Hear the phone. Marco wants to talk. Candy frowned when she heard the double's voice. Hey! Damn you! You took my new motorbike away. Marco's nagging made Candy retract her smile. Because Marco's new motorbike was in the yard with a key. Candy took it right away. Minjem, you are very stingy. I am a son of Pappy, so stingy. Turn you back now. I'll beat you up when my new motorbike is scratched. Bowel. Annoyed Candy. The girl unilaterally switched off the phone. Candy looked back at the mound in front of her. She pulled a smile. I'll go back first. Okay, Marco already preached. Candy immediately stood up, then walked towards her motorbike, which was parked not far from her position. Candy's eyes winced when she saw two men with hoodlums like thugs sitting on her motorcycle. Correction, Marco's motorbike. Mission. Bang. My motorbike, Candy said dryly, hoping the two people leave soon. Wow. The girl who has it turns out, said one of the thugs with his head shaved. Why is that? Yes, said Candy grumpy. Very fierce Neng. The skinny thug stared at Candy with interest. Move away from my motorbike. I am going home, Candy said still in a flat tone. Phew. Can't have to choose motorbike or pride, asked the bald head. What do I have to choose? I can get both. This is a really songong girl. The thin one was getting hooked. He got up and wanted to grab Candy's hand. However, Candy brushed off quickly. I don't want to be held by people like you. Looks like we got both. Here. Motorbikes as well as beautiful girls. Shaved head pulled his smile brush. The skinny and shaved one immediately grabbed Candy. Their strength was too strong. Candy couldn't possibly fight back. Even if he fought, he would lose. Open the shirt, shouted the Plantos. Boo. Candy was taken aback when one of the thugs fell to the ground. He was even more shocked when the other thug also fell to the ground. I am most lazy to beat people up. Candy turned. Oh my, that. Who are you, damn it? The thin one started to stand up, preparing to attack the man in black shirt. Remember my name. The boy came forward, Andres Saviero. And after that, he returned to give the thug a punch. It only took a moment for Andra to knock out the two thugs until they were helpless. And Candy, who had been watching all of that, could only be silent. Lo? It is okay. Andra caught Candy's eyes. Those eyes. Sharp eyes that were very familiar. Good boy, bring you go to heaven. But bad boy bring you heaven. Sai end. 1,000 votes. 1,000 comments for next. Ready to fill every paragraph with comments. Lo, is it okay? The question came back to Andra's lips because since earlier Candy had been silent as she looked him in the eye. Candy's eyes conveyed a deep longing. Andra frowned because Candy didn't let go of her gaze. Hello? Andra snapped his fingers. A second later Candy blinked. Already aware, I think, murmured Andra. Did you hear what I said, didn't you? Who are you? Candy asked when she realized. The girl seemed to have seen the boy in front of her. But where? I am Andra, said the man in the black shirt. Candy nodded. Thanks for helping me. My name is Aluna Candy, right? Andra cut in before Candy said her name. Why do you know my name? Candy looked at Andra searchingly and frowned. Aluna Candy, the queen of Matahari High School, gang leader Eagle. Again, Andra's words made Candy frown. How could this guy know all that? How do you know all that? Candy asked, confused. I am sure I've never met you before. Andra pulled back his smile. I went to school with you. Lo? Sunday high school kid? Candy raised an eyebrow. Why don't you ever see me? I am not that important until you can tell me. Andra chuckled again. Ah, yes, we've met before. Where? At that time you ran into me in front of the toilet, remember? Andra asked. That day you also stared at me for a long time. Then you mentioned one name, Athar. Candy returned to remember what Andra had meant. In an instant he remembered immediately. The girl looked up again into Andra's eyes. No wonder he is familiar with those eyes. Andra is a guy with a black mask who accidentally hit Candy, and Andra is also the first man Candy meets to have eyes very similar to Athar's. Your hobby is daydreaming. Huh? Andra scolds. Daratati daydreaming. This is a grave, you know. Sorry. Candy looked the other way. I'll go first. Wait. Andra holds Candy's hand, making Candy have to stare at her again. What? What is your nickname? Asked Andra. Urgent. Candy asked back. Andra drew a smile. I guess I'll see you often. It is weird if I have to call you using your full name. Everyone calls me Boss. I guessed it. Aluna's nickname is too feminine for a girl who incidentally is a gang leader who rides a motorsport. Candy was getting embarrassed. The girl rolled her eyes. Already. Can you let me go now? Oh, okay. Andra let go of his hand, let Candy get on her bike. When Candy was ready to turn on the gas, Andra returned to her voice. Make the girl lower the gas again. But I think Candy's nickname is more familiar. It is up to you what you want to call me. Bye. Candy then sped up her motorbike, leaving Andra alone. Candy. Andra stared at the departure of Candy, who began to disappear. Candy, my motorbike. Marco is excited when Candy just returns. The boy immediately checked every part of his new motorbike, whether there were blisters or not. It is safe for your motorbike. I am not reckless, Candy said. My motorcycle tires are dirty here. Annoyed by Marco, the boy pointed to his motorbike tires, which were covered with dirt because the cemetery that Candy had visited had been raining. It is dirty. It is washable. Company LeBay. I hate my motorbike the most. Ah, it is your responsibility. Wash my motorbike. Marco protests. What is wrong with the two of you making a fuss? Starla approached her two children who were arguing on the terrace of the house. Me. Marco's new motorbike. Me. Adu Marco, pointing to his motorbike. Dirty because of Candy. Legal me. Marco. Dirty can be washed, said Starla. Tonight I want to go out with my girlfriend. I am busy this afternoon. Who washed it? Marco replied. Candy sure doesn't want to take responsibility, right? I am responsible, Candy said in a flat tone. I'll wash it, your new motorbike now. I don't want it if you wash it yourself, huh? You have to go to a special motorbike washing place. I don't want to know. Bitch! Annoyed Candy. All right, already. Starla intervened. Candy, give it to Mr. Joko. Let him take him to the motorbike salon. And Marco, stop being too busy. All right, me. It is okay. Candy is late at home. Candy got back on Marco's motorbike. Go straight home, son. Starla's warning. Take care of it, my motorbike, shouted Marco. Candy shook her head. Then drove the motorbike to the motorbike washing area. The place is not far enough from Candy's house, the washing place for Athar's motorbike. Again, Athar. In about 10 minutes Candy arrived. Thank God it wasn't too crowded, which meant that Candy didn't have to wait in line for long. The girl immediately got off the motorbike and took off the helmet. What? Candy turned her head reflexively. The girl was also surprised. Lo! Candy said, staring strangely at the boy in front of her. We just separated about an hour ago, didn't we? Andra chuckled. I never thought I could meet you here. Every second I spend with you will be the fondest memory. One I will be hard to forget. Hi, Wes. 1,000 votes. 1,000 comments for next. Candy just smiled and hesitated to reply to Andra's words. The girl walked first to the waiting area, feeling uncomfortable with Andra's presence. To be precise, Candy didn't want to look Andra's eyes any longer. Candy sat herself in the waiting chair. However, not long after that Andra came over to him. Candy sighed. What is wrong with this guy? I like to get bored when washing a motorbike alone, said Andra. Good to see you. Oh, Candy nodded. Geez, usually he easily kicked out, rejected, or even beat up the guy he didn't like. However, why was it so difficult to expel this male figure in front of him? Oh yeah, I didn't see you at school. Where have you been? Asked Andra. Candy turned around. This guy noticed. Why did Andra find out that Candy didn't go to school? You pay attention to my attendance? Candy asked questioningly. Not really. Andra shrugged his shoulders. As long as I went to Smamatahari, the first period of recess was the first canteen. The kids went to cafeteria too. They said they were lazy to meet you with your friends. Canteen. Hearing Andra's explanation, Candy nodded. It is true what Andra said. There are 2 canteens in their school, and the main canteen is always quiet during the first break because many are afraid or lazy to meet Candy and her friends. Maybe because they are afraid of making accidental mistakes and instead become bullies for Candy and the other Eagle kids. Are you a new kid? Asked Candy. He just realized that he almost never saw Andra at school, except when he was in the toilet. Yups. Andra nodded with a smile. And when you ran into me on the toilet, that was my first day of school. Just, haven't you? A week. Yes, not bad. A week. And you can already observe the detailed atmosphere of Matahari High School? Andra looked at Candy, again with a smile. I am a good observer. I see. Candy nodded her head. Ah, yes, your feet. Andra pointed at Candy's feet. The girl also looked down at his feet. Why? Candy asked, feeling that there was nothing wrong with her leg. Doesn't it hurt? Why should it hurt? Said Candy, confused. Can you walk? Andra asked again. Yes, you can. All right. After washing the motorbike, what if we go? Huh, Candy looked up. The girl looked at Andra. Rhetorical questions are questions that don't have to be answered. But the answer is just yes or no. Is that right? Right. For example, You want to date me? Is that so? Yes, Candy replied lazily. Okay. Arthur nodded his head. We are dating. Why do you really like seeing me like that? Asked Andra. Candy blinked. The girl shook her head. Her memories with Arthur suddenly appear. Andra's treatment really reminded him of Arthur. Hello. Again, Andra has to wake Candy from her reverie. Sorry. Candy massaged her temples. Why? I want to take you out this way. Want? End. Don't refuse me, please. I need a friend just today. You don't have to walk. Come with me to eat. What do you think? Asked Andra. Who the hell, this guy? Having only met for a few hours, had the courage to take Candy out. Doesn't she know? Candy's guards, who are as fierce as lions, if they know that their boss is being approached by a man. I can't. Spark Candy. Think of it as my payment after helping you, Daesh. Andra asked once again. Candy closed her eyes and sighed. He doesn't like to have debt of gratitude, especially with men like Andra. Candy believes Andra is the type of guy who won't stop until he gets what he wants. Tonight, Candy said. Tonight? You mean? Andra asked, confused. If you want me to accompany you tonight. I can't right now, that is if you want. If you don't want. Andra cut quickly. I'll pick you up tonight. Do you know my house? Candy raised an eyebrow. Yes, obviously no. Andra chuckled. Tell me, please. Let's just meet. Don't pick up. It is not really my responsibility to be a guy like that. I just picked up. You don't know my house. I'll follow you after this. I'll know where you are. Andra smiled triumphantly, like someone Candy knew. She didn't want to lose either. Candy is ready with her white shirt and black jacket. The girl came down from her room to the living room. Then she met Starla and Diwa, who were watching television. Hey, where are you going? Asked Starla when she saw Candy's arrival. Come out for a moment, Mai. Candy replied. The girl also sat on the sofa. With who? Sergio, asked Diwa. No, Candy said. Then, with who? Asked Starla. People. Gapanting. Guy? Diwa asked while looking at Candy seriously. The girl nodded. Guy? Starla repeated. Which gang boy? Can you fight? Can you? Added Diwa. Candy frowned. What is it? Before long, Candy heard a motor horn sound. Candy was sure it was Andra, so she immediately got up and left. Regardless of the calls of his parents, if Candy kept answering their questions, it wouldn't end until midnight. Hi, Andra said when he saw Candy's presence. Go straight, Candy said. The girl put on a helmet and got on Andra's motorcycle. That is your mother's butt. First permission, I want to bring her child, said Andra, who wanted to get off his motorbike. No. I have permission. Hurry, tell Candy. Tay, walk, or shall I go down? Threatened Candy. Yes. Andra canceled his intention to come down. The boy then accelerated the motorbike. Candy just stayed in Andra's pillion. Until they arrived at a place to eat. Candy stared at the place. She fell silent again. This, Candy muttered. Why? Asked Andra. Here all the food is available. I don't know what you like to eat. That is why I am going to eat here. Nothing. The two of them then entered the simple restaurant. After sitting down, a woman soon came to serve the two of them. What are you eating? Asked Andra. Fried rice, Candy said. MBA, fried rice too. Mine is extra cabbage, no soy sauce, omelet plus crackers crushed. Drink it. Just 2 iced tea, Andra replied. The woman then left, leaving Andra and Candy alone. For the umpteenth time, Andra finds Candy staring at him. The girl this time looked at Andra without blinking, with a gaze that was difficult to interpret. "Boss." Andra waved his hand at Candy. "Who are you?" asked Candy. "Huh." Andra frowned. "Me, Andra Law, what is wrong with you? This place, this atmosphere, the food Andra ordered. These are all things Candy had done with Athar. I never imagined falling on you this complicated. Hey, way. Don't forget to have 1,000 votes and 1,000 comments for the next. Thank you for always being loyal. Giving votes, comments, and shares. Since earlier, Candy has always been watching Andra. The way he ate, talked, everything. Is it a coincidence that this guy in front of him has almost the same traits as Athar? I don't know what God's secret and destiny has been given. What is clear, Candy cannot accept this. He did not want Athar's figure to be replaced, no matter how similar it is. "Why don't you just stop from there?" asked Andra. The boy was surprised. Apart from being silent, Candy also continued to pay attention to her every move. "I am going home," Candy replied as she looked away in the other direction. He made sure that he didn't want to have anything to do with Andra anymore. "Okay. I'll pay for a moment." Andra left, then immediately went to the cashier. Candy wanted to catch up to pay for her meal, but the ringing of the phone interrupted her movements. The girl reached for her cell phone, then frowned at the phone call from her mother. "Why? Me," said Candy, after putting her cell phone to her ear. "Candy?" came Starla's voice, whimpering. "Me? Why are you crying?" Candy asked, in a worried tone. "You are to the Rose Hospital now." "What are you doing? Who is sick?" "My." Candy panicked even more. "Marco is critical. He was in an accident." You could hear Starla crying on the other side. Candy felt lightning striking. The girl's body stiffened at once. "I've already paid, let's." Andra just came back from the cashier. The boy frowned when he saw the change in Candy's expression. Moreover, the girl's position was on the phone. "Candy," Andra called. He touched Candy's shoulder to revive the girl. Candy blinked. He turned his head and looked at Andra with a gaze. "Take me to the Rose Hospital." "Who is sick?" Andra asked, curious. "My twin." Candy immediately wiped her tears. The girl got up. "Come on." Andra follows Candy, who is walking very fast. The boy finally also accelerated his movement. Even when he was on the road, Candy told Andra to drive his motorbike faster. So it didn't take long for both of them to arrive at the hospital. Candy immediately ran to the emergency room, because Starla had informed her that Marco was there to be followed up. Meanwhile, Andra, the boy, continued to follow Candy from behind. "Me." Call Candy when she sees her parents standing in front of the action room. "Marco, what is wrong?" "Marco was an accident," answered Diwa. "Why can?" Candy asked, confused. He was sure that Marco never took the motorbike recklessly. The chronology, Pappy doesn't know yet. The police have not said anything. Candy closed her eyes. The girl felt chest pain. Her bond with Marco was quite strong, so that if one of them is sick, the others will feel pain too. "Excuse me." Candy and her parents turned reflexively. "That is a member of the police apparatus." "Yes, sir," God replied. "I want to discuss this incident with Brother Marco's family," said the man in the uniform. God nodded. He and Starla followed the policeman to speak, leaving Candy alone to wait for the doctor who was treating Marco. "Lo, is it okay?" Andra walked over to Candy. Candy shook her head. "Just go home. After your father's mother returns, I'll go home." "No, you are going home now." Candy glanced at Andra. "And don't ever appear in front of me again." Andra frowned. "Why, we just met today. I got it wrong. You go home now. Candy shoved Andra's shoulder. Don't appear in front of me, just pretend what happened today never happened. Tay, Candy. The owner of the name reflexively turned his head, as did Andra, who was in front of him. Gio. Candy went straight to Sergio and hugged him tightly. Sergio hugged Candy back, his hands raised to caress her back. Relax. Everything will be fine. Marco, she whispered. Sergio accidentally catches Andra's presence. He stared at Andra sharply, tightening his arms. Andra immediately left, his hands clenched tightly. Andra has just arrived at his house. The boy immediately parked his motorbike and stepped into the house. Actually, he still wanted to stay in the hospital, but considering that Candy had kicked him out and Sergio's presence finally made Andra resign, Andra, who had just stepped into his house, turned to the figure of a middle-aged man behind him. Papa's still not used to it, I think. Andra replied with a smile. Harris nodded. Sorry, Papa forgot. I am going to the room, said Andra. Where do you come from? Meet someone. Candy? Harris asked convincingly. Andra just smiled. The boy went back up the stairs to his room. Being a female. Being isn't your reason to be weak, Starla. Te ku nawati. Where did you find this story? About 2 hours of waiting. Finally, a doctor came out of Marco's office. The middle-aged man clad in white clothes was immediately approached by the family who were waiting for Marco's news. How is my son? Doc, asked Starla. Marco is past his critical period. Maybe soon he will be transferred to the inpatient room. But what, Doc? Starla asked in panic. We couldn't save the girl who had come with Marco. She had regained consciousness, but when she saw Marco's critical condition, the girl suddenly went down. Marco's girlfriend, me? Asked Candy. Starla nodded. Marco, don't get to know, said Diwa. They all nodded. Candy knew what it felt like to be in Marco's place, left by loved ones. Therefore, they all agreed to hide this matter for a while. That guy who? Sergio finally opened his voice. Since earlier he had been silent as he hugged and calmed Candy, only after waiting for things to improve and for Marco to be transferred to the inpatient room. Did Sergio dare to ask? Andra, the new kid at our school, Candy said. I've never seen him. Naturally, Candy turned her head and looked at Sergio. She is not like us. You have to be careful, Ndi. Sergio's warning. You know, what happened to Ather wasn't a pure accident. We still don't know what, who and why even after a year. Yes, I know. Even I suspect. What happened to Marco now? Sergio looked into Candy's eyes. Has something to do with what happened to Ather. Candy fell silent. Suddenly, the girl remembered that lately she had been getting terror from someone. Not only does it contain threats, the items sent are also very nonsensical. I've been terrorized lately. Gee, Candy said, making Sergio divert his full attention. Terrorized? Sergio repeated. Terrorized, what do you mean? The first is in the school bathroom. There is writing on the glass telling me to die, Candy said. Sergio frowned. Continue. I received packages, letters, always the date of Ather's death. What does all that mean? Asked Sergio, confused. I don't know either. Candy shook her head. If it is true what happened to Marco was one of those terrorists, I can't stay silent. Me and the Eagle children will always be beside you. Sergio cupped Candy's cheeks. Let's solve this thing together. Candy smiled. Thanks, Gee, you are my best friend. Excuse me. Candy and Sergio turned together. Why? Said Candy. In front of him. Now there are about 4 boys wearing black bomber jackets. Marco, Is it really treated here? Asked one of the boys in the jacket. Candy nodded. Who are you? I am Venus. And these are my friends, Space, Bima and Cloud. We're all Marco's friends, explained the boy named Venus. Oh. Candy nodded her head. Marco is in there, but he can't be seen right now. You guys come to sleep. It is okay. My friends and I just want to take care of Marco. Venus replied. We stay in front there. The boy pointed to a long chair used for waiting. Okay. Candy puffed her head. The 4 boys left. Are they President Team's kids? Asked Sergio. Yes, Marco, the chairman, answered Candy. The President Team is an association of male motorsport lovers. Unlike gangs in general, they prefer to gather in cafes or special places for motorbikes. The members are not just any. It only contains the children of the rich with their motor sports that have been modified to hundreds of millions. Although Chairman Marco likes to fight, but not with the members. They would rather spend money on beautifying their motorbikes than having to wreck their handsome faces for a fight. It is very different from Candy and her friends, whose track record of their naughtiness has spread all over Sma Matahari. Why doesn't Marco go to school at our place? Asked Sergio. He is chasing a girl. And? The girl who died in this accident. Both of them fell silent, busy with the contents of their respective thoughts. Candy thought about how Marco would do when he woke up, knowing that his lover was gone. In the midst of her reverie, Candy's cell phone rings. An incoming message alert. Candy immediately took the flat object. His eyes narrowed when he saw the row of numbers that did not appear. Candy sighed. Well, he must immediately find out who the terrorists are. Oh, 8,134,576 XXXX. Hi. Aluna Candy, how was the first surprise? Is it fun? Aluna. Candy. Low? Who? Don't do anything. I can track your number. Who do you think is the next victim? Next to you. Candy's eyes were perfectly round. The girl looked up, staring around the hospital, looking for the terror figure. Candy, sure, that guy's around here. While busy looking, Candy's cell phone rings again. There was a time when we met. Beautiful. Not now. Ah, yes. Ask the man next to you to take care of him. Being a female being isn't your reason to be weak, Starla. Hey. Where did you find this story? About 2 hours of waiting. Finally, a doctor came out of Marco's office. The middle-aged man clad in white clothes was immediately approached by the family, who were waiting for Marco's news. How is my son, Doc? Asked Starla. Marco is past his critical period. Maybe soon he will be transferred to the inpatient room. But what? Doc? Starla asked in panic. We couldn't save the girl who had come with Marco. She had regained consciousness, but when she saw Marco's critical condition, the girl suddenly went down. Marco's girlfriend, me? Asked Candy. Starla nodded. Marco, don't get to know, said Diwa. They all nodded. Candy knew what it felt like to be in Marco's place, left by loved ones. Therefore, they all agreed to hide this matter for a while. That guy who... Sergio finally opened his voice, since earlier he had been silent as he hugged and calmed Candy, only after waiting for things to improve, and for Marco to be transferred to the inpatient room. Did Sergio dare to ask? Andra, the new kid at our school, Candy said. I've never seen him. Naturally, Candy turned her head and looked at Sergio. She is not like us. You have to be careful, Andy. Sergio's warning. You know what happened to Athar wasn't a pure accident. We still don't know what, who and why even after a year. Yes, I know. Even I suspect. What happened to Marco now? Sergio looked into Candy's eyes. Has something to do with what happened to Athar. Candy fell silent. Suddenly, the girl remembered that lately she had been getting terror from someone. Not only does it contain threats, the items sent are also very nonsensical. I've been terrorized lately. G.I., Candy said, making Sergio divert his full attention. Terrorized? Sergio repeated. Terrorized? What do you mean? The first is in the school bathroom. There is writing on the glass telling me to die, Candy said. Sergio frowned. Continue. I received packages, letters, always the date of Athar's death. What does all that mean? Asked Sergio, confused. I don't know either. Candy shook her head. If it is true what happened to Marco was one of those terrorists, I can't stay silent. Me and the Eagle children will always be beside you. Sergio cupped Candy's cheeks. Let's solve this thing together. Candy smiled. Thanks, G. You are my best friend. Excuse me? Candy and Sergio turned together. Why? Said Candy. In front of him, now there are about 4 boys wearing black boomer jackets. Marco. Is it really treated here? Asked one of the boys in the jacket. Candy nodded. Who are you? I am Venus, and these are my friends. Space, Bima, and Cloud. We're all Marco's friends, explained the boy named Venus. Oh, Candy nodded her head. Marco is in there, but he can't be seen right now. You guys come to sleep. It is okay. My friends and I just want to take care of Marco. Venus replied. We stay in front there. The boy pointed to a long chair used for waiting. Okay. Candy puffed her head. The 4 boys left. Are they president team's kids? Asked Sergio. Yes. Marco the chairman. Answer Candy. The president team is an association of male motorsport lovers. Unlike gangs in general, they prefer to gather in cafes or special places for motorbikes. The members are not just any. It only contains the children of the rich with their motorsports that have been modified to hundreds of millions. Although Chairman Marco likes to fight, but not with the members. They would rather spend money on beautifying their motorbikes than having to wreck their handsome faces for a fight. It is very different from Candy and her friends whose track record of their naughtiness has spread all over Smamatahari. Why doesn't Marco go to school at our place? Asked Sergio. He is chasing a girl. And the girl who died in this accident. Both of them fell silent, busy with the contents of their respective thoughts. Candy thought about how Marco would do when he woke up, knowing that his lover was gone. In the midst of her reverie, Candy's cell phone rings. An incoming message alert. Candy immediately took the flat object. His eyes narrowed when he saw the row of numbers that did not appear. Candy sighed. Well, he must immediately find out who the terrorists are. Oh, 8,134,576 XXXX. Hi. Aluna Candy. How was the first surprise? Is it fun? Aluna. Candy. Lo who? Don't do anything. I can track your number. Who do you think is the next victim? Next to you. Candy's eyes were perfectly round. The girl looked up, staring around the hospital, looking for the terror figure. Candy, sure, that guy's around here. While busy looking, Candy's cell phone rings again. There was a time when we met. Beautiful, not now. Ah, yes. Ask the man next to you to take care of him. Love is beautiful. If not for you, maybe you haven't found the right one. Hi. 1,200 votes, 1,200 comments for next. Remember, don't spam too much. Comment on the contents of the story. Don't just comment next. Sorry you want so much. Respect each other, okay? Marco was conscious, and now Candy was feeding him the hospital food the nutrition department had just given him. You gently feed me Napa C. Marco protests. Even though he was still weak, the boy could still get angry. Don't make me regret crying all the time. Company Candy replied with bulging eyes. Lay low. Marco scoffed. Even so, he put on a smile. Don't smile. Your face is ugly. Candy cut Marco in the face. Your hand. Marco glared at Candy. Don't touch my handsome face. Since when have you been so confident, Co? Candy shook her head in thought. You forgot? I have a P-squared trait. Candy frowned. What? Just heard me. P-squared, stingy, and confident. Both are pappies. Marco and Candy turned their heads when they heard the voice. Starla and Diwa just arrived. Yes, Poppy's son. Diwa commented. If you reduce people's character, it is not funny. Starla rolled her eyes. The woman walked over to Marco, then rubbed his cheeks gently. You make Mama have heart disease, Company. Marco pulled a faint smile. Marco is strong me. I thought you would be unconscious for a month. Seeing your condition last night. Chirp, Candy. Candy! Starla admonished. Don't say that. Talk is prayer. Sorry, Mai. Candy chuckled. Get angry, Meteoritati. Keep pestering Marco. Marco fights his mother. The boy stared at Candy while sticking out his tongue, sneering. You are spoiled. Candy annoyed. Leave it. Marco then turned his gaze to Starla. Me, what about Chilla? Is she okay? Instantly the whole room was silent. Candy turned her face the other way, as well as with Diwa. Starla was silent, confused about what to answer. Me. Why are you silent? Marco asked. How about Chilla? Chilla rest, honey. You will meet him later when you recover, huh? Starla smiled as she gently stroked Marco's cheek. Marco is fine. Tell the doctor, Marco wants to come out today, Marco said. He really felt healthy, even though his life was at the threshold last night. You have to rest completely. A week, said Diwa. But Pappy doesn't want to be argued, Marco. Diwa looked at Marco sharply, immediately made Marco nodded. Candy wants to go to the mini-market below. Want to buy snacks? Sergio has been waiting for outside. Candy moved from her position. After getting nods from her parents, the girl came out. Sergio was waiting for Candy outside Marco's room. The guy just arrived after coming home for a while to shower and change clothes. I am sorry, G. I am bothering you, Candy said. Sergio chuckled. From yesterday you really are Candy. Candy frowned. What do you mean? From yesterday, you really are the Candy I know. Not Candy Boss, Sergio replied, making Candy speechless. What is it? Candy punched Sergio hard in the shoulder. So, let's start with the Candy Boss character coming out. Candy laughed softly. Without realizing it, the two of them arrived at the mini-market, which is located right in front of the hospital. Welcome to Indopril, said the cashier when Candy and Sergio entered. I'll take the basket, okay? Said Sergio. Candy nodded and headed ahead to the snack rack. While busy selecting, his cell phone rings. The girl immediately picked up without seeing who was calling her. Hello? Was shopping. Candy fell silent. He looked at the screen of his cell phone. Oh my, an unknown number. This must be the terrorists. Who are you? Are you near me? Asked Candy. The girl's eyes looked around. You happen to be with my second target. Candy could hear the man laughing. Low. Candy hadn't had time to finish her words. The phone had already been disconnected. Shit, Candy muttered. The girl dialed the number again, but it is nil. The number is also inactive. Here, the basket. Sergio arrived carrying a blue basket, typical of Indopril. G.I. Candy looked at Sergio. We're not shopping. Let's go now. Sergio frowned. What? Why, we're here. I don't want to shop. Come on, let's go back to the hospital. Why? Did you forget to bring your wallet? Use my money first, said Sergio confusedly. Not. Candy shook her head. The girl pulled Sergio. Sergio reflexively put the basket that he took. What is the matter, NDI? Sergio was confused. Candy kept pulling him until they were outside the convenience store now. The terror. He targeted you, G. Candy looked at Sergio in panic. We have to go to the hospital, ask Pappy for help. This is too much. Geez. Sergio laughed and shook his head. Why are you laughing? ND now, we're in a crowded place. You shouldn't be afraid like this. We can't possibly be attacked here. Sergio explained. Don't take this as a joke, Gaia. Annoyed Candy. Let's go back to the hospital now. Candy grabbed Sergio's hand again. Her steps very wide and fast. Without Candy realizing that her heart was beating, she was really scared. The guy's not playing games. He hurt Marco and is now eyeing Sergio. Ouch. Candy's body was hit by someone. The girl's steps stopped. He then turned to the person who had hit him earlier. Halo if you walk around. Use your eyes. All right, ND. Sergio calmed Candy. Come on, let's go back to the hospital. When Sergio wanted to take Candy away, her shoulder was caught. Sergio turned his head to find the man wearing a black hoodie and mask of the same color who had bumped into Candy, holding her shoulder. Why? Asked Sergio. Without warning, the man pulled out a knife and stabbed it straight into Sergio's lower abdomen. After performing the action, the man ran quickly. Gio! Candy shouted. The girl saw firsthand the incident that took place lightning. As for Sergio, the boy is now on his knees, with fresh blood flowing profusely from his stomach. Know the most annoying thing? When I can only watch you from afar without being able to do anything about it. Hi. Why? Candy screamed hysterically, inviting many people to approach her. The girl hugged Sergio, who almost fell, shouting for help. Please call the ER officer now. Candy shouted to some of the people watching. The girl turned her gaze to Sergio. The man seemed to tremble. Sergio is bleeding too much. Gee, you are strong, hold on, Candy said as she looked at Sergio, who was grimacing in his arms. Take care of yourself, NDY, Sergio said weakly. His stamina was reduced due to the deep piercing of his stomach, causing profuse bleeding. Think about yourself, G. You have to be strong, Candy said. The girl held back her tears with all her might. You promised Ather to take care of me, right? You can't be weak. You can't be like Athar who didn't promise exactly. You are strong, Sergio. Sergio closed his eyes, suppressing the pain he was suffering as much as he could. However, the more detained, the more it hurt. Opening or closing the eyes feels the same. The vision is dark. Gio, look at me. Candy patted Sergio hard on both cheeks. Don't sleep, look at me. Excuse me, let us lift it. Two officers dressed in white clothes arrived carrying a gurney. They mounted Sergio on top of him and then took the man into the ambulance to get first aid. The distance between Indepril and the hospital is very close, making them immediately arrive at the emergency room. Candy accompanied Sergio, who was unconscious until he was arrested and ordered to wait in front of the emergency room. Candy sat on the waiting chair and ruffled her hair in frustration. 3 people, Arthur, Marco, and now Sergio. Candy firmly believes they were hurt by the same person. But why? Why? What is their fault? What is wrong with Candy that she should be terrorized like this? Candy's cell phone rang. The girl immediately picked up when she saw her father's name on the screen. Where are you, NDI? Diwa asked when Candy picked up the phone. Pi, Sergio. Candy's lips were shaking. The girl tried hard to stop herself from crying. "What is wrong with you, Sergio?" asked the worried god. Sergio was stabbed Pi. Now he is in the ER. Pappy over there now. The telephone line was then cut. Candy closed her eyes. The girl leaned her head against the wall. Think, what the hell is this? What had he done before, so that he had to endure this cruel terror? Who are the next targets? What is her? These thoughts continue to haunt Candy. Candy. The deep voice made Candy open her eyes. She turned and found Diwa walking towards her. "Pappy." Candy immediately ran and hugged her father, who had just arrived. "Are you okay?" asked Diwa. "Sergio, Pi." Candy sobbed. The girl couldn't help crying in front of her father. The terror, he has been eyeing Sergio from yesterday. He is also the one who hurt Marco. Diwa pulled Candy from her arms. The man grabbed Candy's shoulders as she stared at her. "Terrorist? Who is being terrorized?" Tell me everything from the start. A few days before my birthday, I was terrorized. The first was at school, when I was in the bathroom. There was writing on the glass telling me to die, Candy explained. The god frowned. "In school," Candy nodded. "The second terror. There was a letter in my bag. It contained my birthday, as well as Arthur's death." "Why did you just say, honey?" asked the god in a weak tone. "Who is it? How dare he disturb his family? Doesn't he know who a god is? I didn't expect it to come this far, Pi." Candy's eyes glistened. "Is it possible the same person who has harmed Arthur?" "We'll find out," said Diwa. "The terrorists have been looking for trouble with the wrong people." Diwa took his cell phone, dialed someone's number. "Hello? Arjuna, gather all the core members of Eagle." Diwa looked straight ahead. "I hope your violent souls have not faded away. First, Arthur, second Marco, and now Sergio." King stared at his friends in turn. "Most likely our next one." "I don't understand. What the hell is this?" The son shook his head. "Boss, have you ever caused trouble with people?" Ari asked Candy. "Don't we all have problems all the time?" Reply to Candy. They were all silent, Candy said. Their days are not free from problems. Whether truant, fighting, and other tense things. Could this be the reply from one of our enemies? Asked Alvin. It is psychopathic if this terror really comes from people who have had problems with us, King said. Our enemies are mostly high school students, and there are no serious problems to the point that there should be bloodshed retribution like this. There are things you all probably don't know. Everyone turned to the son. What? Asked Candy. Arthur's father, said Putra hanging. Omaris? Why? Excuse me, said Putra interrupted. They all turned to the figure who had just arrived. What are you doing here? Candy got up from her position. The girl glared at Andra, who came suddenly. I want to talk to you, said Andra. Candy looked around. He could not shout or scold Andra here. The girl turned her gaze to her friends. Wait here, Candy said. She pulls Andra away from Sergio's room, leading him to a quieter place. Why should you go so far? Andra asked when they were outside the hospital. I warned you yesterday. What are you doing here again? Maybe you are confused who I am, where or what my business is. Andra stares at Candy deeply, a look that Candy hates because Andra's eyes remind her of Athar. But if I say I can take care of you, are you going to keep telling me to go? I don't believe in coincidences. For me, everything was arranged by God. Tawand, clade in your eyes so far. How? BTW the targets in parts 13 and 14 haven't been met. And I am still updating. Here. It must be fulfilled. My enthusiasm is starting to fall. The comments go down. 1,200 votes. 1,200 comments. Candy fell silent. The only thing that made the girl want to keep her distance from Andra is because in one day, that guy managed to make her think of Athar. Candy didn't want her heart to weaken. Candy didn't want to fall back and get sick again. He doesn't want his Athar to be replaced by anyone. Athar is only one. I don't know you. I don't know what you mean. I really don't want to have anything to do with you. Spark Candy. The girl didn't even dare to meet Andra's gaze. Think of me as your friend. NDI. Andra looked at Candy even though she didn't want to look at him. Cannot. Why? Low. Candy finally looked at Andra. You remind me of someone I can't forget. Low. Open my old wound. I don't mean to remind you of your past. You already know my reason, right? Now you just go, miss. Don't come again. Don't add to my problems anymore. Candy was about to leave, but Andra blocked her hand. Wait. Andra holds Candy's hand, making the girl turn to look at him in displeasure. What else? Anyway, I know you are being terrorized, said Andra. Enough to make Candy look up at him. What do you mean? When I was in the school toilet, I accidentally saw someone going into the girls' toilet. I thought he wanted to peek, because from his posture I was sure he was a boy. Candy was silent, waiting for the continuation of Andra's story. I tried to take a peek, and he wrote something on the glass. I don't know using paint or ink. The one which is clear is red. Andra just came out of the classroom, was about to walk to the cafeteria to meet Junio, who was waiting for him. The boy accidentally saw someone who looked suspicious. Without thinking, Andra took a position to pay attention to the man's movements. Even though he is a new student, Andra is sure that this person is not a student of SMA Matahari. Plus, he wasn't wearing a uniform. What are you doing going to the girls' toilet? Andra muttered. He was sure. That person was a boy. Andra leaned closer. Peek through the door. The person seemed to be writing something on the glass, making Andra frown. What are you doing? Andra scolds. The man with the black hat turned around, surprised when Andra caught him. Andra was sure that the man intended to run away, so he grabbed the mysterious man's hand as he passed him at the door. Unfortunately, Andra's pull was released so that the man could escape, and rather than chasing him, Andra was more curious about who the man was targeting. What are you doing? Andra muttered when he saw that his hands were covered in red ink resembling blood. It must be because she was holding the man's hand. The boy walked down his head, was about to wash his hands into the sink. However, he accidentally bumped into someone. It turns out to be the queen of Matahari High School. Andra became curious. How bad is a Candy that she has to find terror to school? And since then, I am curious, Andra explained at length. You want to take care of me? Just because you are curious. Not like that. Who knows I can help you? Andra shrugged his shoulders. At least I've seen people try to terrorize you. Even though I don't know their face, I know their posture. Candy fell silent. She really doesn't want anything to do with Andra, because that guy reminds her of Athar. On the other hand, Andra was right. The boy had seen the terrorists. It is unlikely that he will be attacked in a crowded place. I know, you have a lot of gang members. What are your male friends? But I want to help you. Andra looked at Candy. The guy was really sincere in his eyes. No, Candy can't be stared at like that. I don't want to be responsible if you do something wrong. Candy looked away the other way. Calm down. I will be very useful for you. Andra drew a smile. Did you see the culprit? Asked Arjuna to Candy. Right now they were gathering at God's house. Candy shook her head. He does not focus on the perpetrator because he is worried about Sergio. What Candy remembers, the person was wearing all black clothes and a black mask that covered part of his face. Tama put her hands into the pockets. I entrust all my men to find the culprit. For now, the security of Candy and her friends is our main priority. Most likely that person is after them, said Arjuna while staring at Dewa. The god who was sitting on the sofa glared straight at him. We tell that person he is looking for the wrong enemy, said Dewa. Sounds relaxed but creepy. For this time, I agree. Starla had been silent since then. Finally she opened her voice. When the culprit has been found, I will be the first to make him regret it, adds Starla. No me. Cut Candy, drawing attention to her. I am the first. A retaliation for Athar. If every prayer is answered, then you will forget how to try. End. Way. 1,000 votes. 1,000 comments for next. What scene are you waiting for the most? Have you read Marco's story, called Nefarious yet? Daddy! That shout echoed throughout the god's house, as a girl with purple hair entered the house. Starla and Candy, who were still in the living room, looked at each other. The sound of a magic doll, isn't it, Mai? Asked Candy. Huh! Scolds Starla. Dad? Shouted the girl again. Barbie. Starla called. Before long, the girl appeared before him. I have my daddy here, no? Asked Barbie, the girl with purple hair. I just went with my dad, Candy said. Ish. The girl stomped her feet, then threw herself onto the sofa. I brought it all the way here, instead I left. What do you want? With your daddy? Asked Starla. I want to ask Daddy to buy the salon I subscribe to. Auntie. Barbie turns her head and stares at Starla, pouting. I don't think I have to wait 3 hours in line, isn't it long? Starla shook her head. Why don't you ask your mommy? You are the same hobbies to the salon. Auntie also has a hobby of going to the salon. Barbie drew a smile. Why didn't Auntie buy it? Just delicious. Candy chirped. Mommy, my hobby is sports, not jogging. Whatever. Annoyed Barbie. The girl took out a flat object from her bag. The cell phone bearing the Apple logo was bitten with 3 cameras calling out to the boba. Dad? Barbie said when the phone was connected. Yes. Honey, what is wrong? Arjuna replied on the other side. What about Daddy? I sent you to Uncle Dewa's house. There wasn't even one. Daddy has something urgent, honey. What do you want? Pie. Buy a salon that I subscribe to, please. Let me not need a reservation or wait any longer. Yes, honey. We'll buy it later. Yes. Now Daddy has an important task. We'll continue at home. Okay. Barbie drew a happy smile. Okay, Dad. Then the telephone line was cut off. Fortunately, your father is rich, if you don't try it. You can have children like you with heart disease, Candy said sarcastically. Barbie rose from her position. If my daddy isn't rich, there is still your father. I am his favorite nephew. The girl stuck out her tongue. Idiot. Making it up. Stop it. Starla turned to Barbie. Do you want to come with Auntie to the hospital? Who is sick? Asked Barbie, raising her eyebrows. Marco. He was in an accident, Candy said. What? Shocked Barbie. Still alive. Yes. It is still. Your mouth. Yes. I'll keep it cool for a long time. Annoyed Candy. They were never close, even though their parents were very close. Yes. You guys keep fighting. Want Mommy to rent a boxing ring. Fight there until you are satisfied, said Starla. Well, Auntie. The period of rent, buy please. That is a lot of money, said Barbie with a teasing laugh at Candy. Basic magic doll. Candy muttered, turning her face the other way. "Let's go," said Starla. "If he stays in the living room for too long, he will go crazy." "Hi, Marcona." Barbie sneered as she chuckled when she saw Marco lying on the bed. Marco looked embarrassed at the sight of his cousin. "Hey, doll witchcraft, what are you doing here?" "Just master. Are you still alive or not?" Barbie replied. Candy shook her head at Barbie and Marco. The two creatures were the same, arrogant and arrogant. They should be matched. I am going to Sergio's room." "Goodbye, Candy," to Starla. Starla nodded. "Be careful, okay?" "Correct." At this time, everyone must be careful. Anywhere, anytime, and anyone can get hurt. Annoying. Candy hates situations like this. The girl stepped into Sergio's room. Not far from Marco's room. Their rooms are next to each other because there are only 2 VVIP rooms in this hospital. Arriving at Sergio's room, Candy is greeted by her 5 friends. King, Putra, Alvin, Ari and Sergio are still not awake. "Any progress?" Candy asked as the girl sat on the sofa. King shook his head. "Still not conscious." Candy took a rough breath. "I got information. The culprit can enter our school." "Huh," said they all, surprised in unison. "I was terrorized at school." And Andra saw what happened. There is a boy. His characteristics are the same as the one who stabbed Sergio. You all know. Our schools are tightly secured if it is a matter of outsiders coming in, said Alvin. They all nodded. There are only 2 possibilities. King folded his arms across his chest. The culprit is someone in the school, or he has connections to enter the school. People in school, you mean one of the Matahari students? Asked the son. Why am I even more sure if the culprit is one of the people we fought with? Said Ari. Could it be he wants revenge? If so, the culprit is one of the people we have dealt with. We should be able to find out easily. Alvin stared at his friend in turn, because surely he is not just anyone. This has reached the stage of murder. I understand what you mean, Vin, said King. If he is a Sunday high school student, he is definitely not an ordinary child. He has a family background so you cannot find out. Is that so? If the second possibility? Outsiders, said Putra. All outsiders who enter our school must record their identity to the security guard, said Candy. That means we have 2 tasks. First, we are looking for our enemies with unusual backgrounds. Second, we will see the list of visits by the security guard, explained Alvin. They all nodded. Oh yes. Candy turned to Putra. Yesterday, you haven't finished what you said about Ather's father. That... The son scratched his head, which was not itchy. If I heard correctly, Harris is Mafia boss. Turns out, I never really got to know you. Hey, don't forget to read Marco's story. Ha! All of them replied in unison. Shh. The son put his index finger in front of his lips. This is a secret. I also accidentally heard that time. Putra just finished a nature call. The boy stood in front of Ather's toilet, then overheard Ather and Sergio chattering. I can't live like this, said Ather. What is his life? Muttered Putra while peeking. Sooner or later, you will be your father's heir, said Sergio. You know, I can't. Ather looked at Sergio. Mafia, I could die any time. And you know how many times my father was nearly killed. I know. It is not your life that you are worried about. Sergio patted Ather's shoulder. You can't leave Candy, can you? That is the main thing. Ather sighed. I don't want to break her heart. That is why I've never made our relationship clear, you know, G. So, what do you want now? Only you can be your father's heir, Thar. There are other ways. Athar looks straight ahead. If something happens to me, you have to protect Candy, can you? The boy turned his head and looked hopefully at Sergio. Then, I immediately went out. I can't eavesdrop on it any longer, said Putra. He turned his gaze to Candy. The point is, Athar wants to get out of that world. He wants to protect you, boss. Candy was silent. Athar sacrificed that far, just for her sake. And Athar was killed, said King. Maybe not. This has something to do with Harris. Because Athar didn't want to be the heir. So he killed. That is why the cause of his death has not been revealed until now. Guess Ari? Huh, really crazy. Really, Alvin exclaimed. How come a father kills his own son? Then, if this is true, everything has to do with Athar's father. Why do we all get it? Why is Candy being terrorized? Asked King. Because Candy made Athar want to leave that world. They all stared at Putra. And we are all friends of Athar, who are also Candy's best friends. If you want to attack Candy, you have to attack her shield first, right? Tell us all like Detective Conan, said King. We have to keep finding out, Candy said. Why don't you come home from there anyway? Pissed off Marco. The boy was annoyed looking at Barbie, who was sitting on the sofa while watching television. I was told to take care of you. You heard it yourself. Your mother asked you to Budek you, said Barbie. The girl snorted. This too, the VVIP space period. There is no exciting spectacle. You think the cinema? Quipped Marco. Barbie rolled her eyes lazily. I should be at the cinema right now, watching handsome boys or shopping. Not taking care of you, Marcona. Is there? A boy who wants a witchcraft doll? Barbie turned her face away, glaring at Marco. There are a lot of people who chase me. I just chose rich ones, not like you. You mean, you remember me? Yes. Please. Look at your girl village, said Barbie. Success provoked Marco's emotions. Barbie Henzi Pradipta, who taught you to say that? Barbie and Marco's attention diverted to a man who had just entered Marco's room. Daddy! Barbie shrieked excited. The girl moved from her position, running hugging his father. Come on, apologize. Arjuna scolds as he looks at Barbie. Barbie pursed her lips. The girl turned to Marco. Sorry, yes, Marcona. Marco rolled his eyes lazily. Where are you and Mommy? Pappy, you still have business. He is gathering members of the first generation of Eagle. If your mother you don't know, said Arjuna. Candy, where is she? Asked Marco again. Look. He was downstairs earlier with a friend, he said. Answered Arjuna. What is wrong with you? Asked Andra. Since they were discharged from the hospital, Candy has been keeping an eye on the surroundings. The girl looked uncomfortable. The terrorists have not contacted me today. I parno him on purpose, Candy replied. Andra shook his head. I invited you to come out to make you refresh. Surely you will always be in the hospital all the time. You even think of terror. Candy turned her head. The girl glared at Andra. The terror cannot be trivialized. Don't you see who the victims are? I promised you. You. Andra stared back at Candy. As long as you are near me, you are safe. That is what Athar said before he died. That is what Sergio said before he ended up in a coma now. Candy looked away, then walked ahead of Andra. Seeing Candy's leaving, Andra smiled. I am different. Andra looked around. The layman would not be aware that at this time around them were about 10 bodyguards dressed casually with pistols stored in their bags. Only Andra knows, because he brought the bodyguards. After finishing bringing Candy to refresh herself, Andra led Candy back to Sergio's room. They stood in front of Sergio's room, because Andra was uncomfortable with the Eagle kids. Don't be sad. You are the boss, said Andra. since earlier Candy's face has been gloomy. As hard as Andra tried to comfort Candy, the girl seemed unfazed. Easy. Told me not to be sad. Because you don't feel like I am in my position, said Candy. Andra pulled a smile, raised his hand to stroke Candy's hair. So a girl don't be too cold. What? Annoyed Candy, the girl brushed Andra's hand. Andra just smiled at Candy's cold attitude towards him. I'll say goodbye. After Andra left, Candy immediately entered Sergio's room. There are only Putra and King who are guarding Sergio, maybe alternating with Alvin and Ari who will be on guard tonight. G, wake up. I miss playing TikTok with you. G. King is standing next to Sergio who is still lying down. There is a new song, G. I want to be a fuckboy. It really suits you. Even though you are not a fuckboy, but your face is very fuckboy. What the heck, King? Said Putra. I am making Gio angry. I just wake up immediately, said King. I like it. You idiot is natural. The son shook his head. What are you two doing? Candy approached King and Putra, the King boss. The son raised his head. Can you wake up Sergio using TikTok? Gio likes TikTok, said King defensively. What is wrong with trying, right? Candy shook her head. You better both go home, school tomorrow. Let me take care of Gio here. It can't be like that, boss. King shook his head. We accompany you to take care of Gio. Calm down. I am not staying here. Just until my father turns to Gio, I'll move to Marco's room, Candy said. He knew that actually his friends were tired because they had not slept for almost 24 hours and stayed in Sergio's room. Take it easy, boss. We are strong with you after all. Alvin and Ari have already replaced them, said Putra assured Candy. Candy shook her head, her eyes fixed on the two men in front of her. I don't want to be denied. You both go home. Take a break. King elbowed the son who was next to him. The two boys sipped their saliva as they stared at Candy's face, which already exuded an aura of cruelty. If it is like this, the only thing they have to do is run away. Oh, okay, boss. Ready to move, stuttered Putra. The boy turned away, immediately walked towards the door. Yes, boss. Come back here, said King. The boy immediately caught up with Putra who stepped ahead of him. It was only after they left that Candy breathed a sigh of relief. The girl sat in a chair next to Sergio's bed. Candy's brown eyes were staring sadly at the lying Sergio. Why is it so painful to see his best friend in this state? You promised to take care of me, G. Why am I taking care of you now? Candy took Sergio's hand. Why are you denying it? You are just like Arthur, liar. Candy looked the other way. You are both con artists. The girl tried hard not to waste her tears. Liar. Soft Candy. The girl's voice began to hoarse. Her lips trembled. Her tears were already on her lips, ready to spill in just one blink. Samhain. Candy just finished getting ready to go to school. At dawn, he came home from the hospital to change clothes and clean himself. When finished, he will go to school. The girl was finished preparing, then went down to the dining table. There is already peanut butter bread available there. He stared at breakfast without interest. The dining table was completely empty. Candy felt even more empty. A honk broke Candy's reverie. The girl left her breakfast and walked towards the main door. When her eyes caught the presence of a black sedan, Candy's forehead engaged. Who? Muttered Candy. The car so foreign. Before long, a man came out of there, staring at Candy with an annoying smile as she waved. Candy, let's go. Andra? Said Candy. Since when did I ask to be picked up? Candy asked, giving Andra a strange look. You don't ask, but this is a form of guarding. Andra smiled. Come on, go up. Candy did not stay where she was, making Andra shake her head. That girl loved to daydream. This needs a red carpet title. So you want to get in my car? Asked Andra. Candy realized the girl shook her head and rubbed her eyes. Lately he has been daydreaming too much, wherever and whenever. Aluna Candy. Call Andra. Patient, Candy said. The girl walked over to Andra's car. Just as Candy's hand moved to open the car door, the ringing of her cell phone stopped her. The girl was silent for a while. Somehow she thought that the message was from the terrorists. Candy took a deep breath before she pulled the cell phone out of the pocket of her uniform. The girl opened her cell phone slowly. King. No, Candy said with a sigh of relief. The girl immediately opened the message from her best friend. King, Ari and Alvin were beaten all night. Boss. Now they are being treated in the same hospital as Sergio. No. Not anymore. Nothing goes smoothly and smoothly. There will always be a wall against which to become an obstacle. Has. Way. Instagram follow below for spoilers and parts not existing in Wattpad. Canty. Kaj. WP Sand. Tekaj. Aluna Candy. Andra. Savi Arrow. Sergio. A brain. We. Our eagle. How are they? Candy has just arrived at the hospital. King and Putra greet the girl in front of the room where Ari and Alvin are in. Battered boss, King replied, his face flushed with anger. I think they are targeting all Eagle kids. Especially those close to you, boss, said Putra. Candy fell silent. His mind suddenly wandered everywhere. The terrorist never contacted Candy again, but she still hurts the people around Candy. Gather all the Eagle kids at Wabaha, Candy ordered. The two men in front of her exchanged glances before they started calling her friend one by one. I'll go to Sergio's room. Just a moment. Candy then walks into Sergio's room, apart from getting bad news for the beating incident against Ari and Alvin. Candy also got some good news about Sergio's consciousness. He immediately walked into Sergio's room when he arrived. Gee. Call, Candy. The girl smiled faintly, seeing Sergio, who had managed to open his eyes. Sergio turned his head, half of his face covered by the oxygen mask that helped him breathe. Makes Candy unable to see the faint smile on Sergio's lips at this moment. Are you all right? Asked Candy. The girl took Sergio's hand and held it. Sergio nodded. He wanted to talk, but it felt heavy. The influence had been asleep for a long time, maybe. I am glad you realized. Candy smiled. Sergio's lips looked like they wanted to say something. Plus the boy was trying to grab Candy's hand. Why? Asked Candy. The girl approached. Quieted Sergio. The man was struggling to speak. Why? Gee. Candy was starting to get confused. A what? A-H-A-R, said Sergio with difficulty. Athar? What is wrong with Athar? Candy got more curious. She looked Sergio's eyes. The guy has something to say. Bah. Yeah. Candy's curiosity increased. Danger. Why? What is with Athar and danger? Sergio was seen sighing. When healthy, he will talk very easily. However, at this time even saying one word was extremely difficult for him. Boss. The children have gathered at Wabaha. Candy turned around. King and Putra just arrived. We're over there now, Candy said. The girl looked back at Sergio. Gee, I have to take care of the kids for a moment. I'll come back here, wait, okay? Sergio was too weak to shake his head or hold Candy's hand. So when the girl went out with her two best friends, all she could do was hold back with her voice choked up. Candy has just arrived with King and Putra at Wabaha, or Warung Babe Jali. which has been a special hangout for Eagle's children since the days of his Diwa Aya leadership. There may be 80 or so boys who are already here, with their respective motorsports that are the hallmark of gang boys. Candy did ask King and Putra to gather all Eagle members, because she had something to say. The girl took a standing position at the front, becoming the center of attention of all the men who were there. They looked at Candy with reverence, because apart from the only girl in Eagle, Candy was the lover of their previous Athar chairman, and the son of Lord Ryoji Heaven. "You've heard Sergio's news for sure," Candy said loudly. All the men in front of her nodded. "Until the latest news this morning. What happened to the core members of Eagle? Ari and Alvin." Candy took a deep breath before continuing. "Before that happened to them, I was terrorized." Candy continued, making noise because the men in front of her were arguing with each other. "And as a result of the terror, 3 core Eagle members were injured. I have a feeling, next me, or even you. But, boss, do you know who did it?" asked Yuga, one of the juniors who is a member of the 3rd generation of Eagle. "We are ready for revenge," shouted Jorgi, a member of the 3rd generation. "Blood, by blood, crush, flatten, revenge." They started screaming, cheering for revenge. After all, what was on their mind right now was one of their enemies, and they will not remain silent. No words are sorry. Not after making Eagle's core members hurt. "I am not gathering you for revenge," shouted Candy, her eyes wide open. A gaze they had never seen before. That gaze was brimming with anger and despair. "I don't want more victims." "Boss, what do you mean?" King asked. The boy touched Candy's shoulder. Candy looked down. The girl took a deep breath. "Throw it rough." He looked up again, showing an expression on his face that he never showed to anyone. "Today, the 18th of April, I declare, Eagle disbelated. There is a heart that cannot be deceived, for which love is the key. Hai, Ti, Wei, Jayan. Forget. 2,000 votes. 2,000 Komen. Spam. Aja GPP. Da, Iklas W. Follow Edg. Athar Yaya for the spoiler. Athar Sanjaya. I am Athar." Andra stared into Candy's eyes. "Atharik, Harris, Sanjaya." Candy's tears shed at once. The girl fell. It felt like Candy's whole body was now limp. There is a fact that does not enter logic, but his heart does not care about that logic. "How can," softly Candy. "A year ago, you already. It wasn't me who was buried at that time." Andra lowered his head. "Come on, I'll explain everything inside." Candy took Andra's helping hand to help her up. Both of them walk inside Athar's house, sitting on the living room sofa accompanied by silence. "You must be surprised, huh?" Andra asked. The boy looked Candy in the eyes while smoothing Candy's messy hair. Candy didn't know what to answer. He now feels like he is in a real and dream world. A dream world where Candy always hopes Athar is still there. However, he was in the real world right now. "Why did your face change?" The question that Candy had wanted to ask if it was true that Andra was Athar. Why did that guy's face change? Why did Athar have to change his identity to Andra? "The accident seriously injured me. And when my father found out that it was his business opponent, I was taken to America. I operated there wearing the skin on the faces of people who had died." "This face?" Candy asked. The girl touched Andra's cheek. The boy caught his hand, closed his eyes and nodded. "I can't live as Atharik Harris Sanjaya anymore." Candy frowned. "Why?" Andra drew a smile. "Atharik Harris Sanjaya, the only child of Harris Sanjaya. They don't want my father to have children." "They?" Candy looked at Andra in confusion. "They are my father's business opponent." Andra pulls a faint smile. My father is not an ordinary person, Candy. His real world is on the dark side. My father, Mafia boss. Candy's eyes were perfectly round. Harris, the Mafia, Andra nodded. My family is dangerous, Candy. My life and my father are being threatened every day. But isn't Uncle Harris the owner of ATV? What Candy knows is that the Sanjaya family is the owner of the biggest television station in Indonesia, ATV. Yes, that is right. Andra can't deny that. Long before that, my father was in a black world. Sanjaya Group? Guess Candy. He had heard of the company from Athar, but he did not know what company it was. Sanjaya Group, a company that employs the Mafia under the guise of bodyguards. The goal is to protect those in the black world, just like my father, because those who work in a black world, it is impossible to ask for protection from the police or other officials. While the black world is harsh, they need protection. Andra looked at Candy guiltily. I am not a good person, neither is my father, Candy sighed. Then your life now? Andra looked up, staring deeply into Candy's beaded eyes. This is my new life as Andra Saviero. Not Atharik Haris Sanjaya. And only you can know this, Candy nodded. Does this have something to do with your father's work? Yes. At least I can live safely, even though I am not myself. Andra laughed bitterly. Candy fell silent. If so, is there any possibility that all the things that have happened to him lately have something to do with Athar's family? Why are you just coming back now? Why didn't you tell me the truth? I have lots of things to do, Candy. Andra pulled a smile. Do you think I should tell you how? Come to you. Say that I am Athar, your girlfriend who died a year ago. Or, I have to appear in front of you and say, Hey Candy, I am alive again. Can you accept it if I suddenly come like that? Andra laughed. Your one will stay away from me, Candy. I know your nature. That is why. You always hang around me, Andra nodded. Even without you knowing, I am always behind to protect you. Before I dared to appear in front of you as a new person, it wasn't that easy. Sorry. Candy looked down, tears streaming down her cheeks. Hey, don't cry. Andra held Candy's cheeks, wiping her tears with his fingers. It is not your fault. I always ask you to stay away. Because you always remind me of Athar. Candy sobbed. It is low Athar. With all this happening, I can't just appear and claim to be Athar, can I? Andra smiled. I want to try to get close to you again, even though it seems difficult. Honestly, I am jealous to see you close to Sergio. Candy wiped her tears. Who told you to go, then send me to Sergio? But now I am back again. Andra stroked Candy's hair. I can protect you from the front without fear of you refusing again. Andra then laughed. Candy smiled back, still not believing what Andra had just explained. To him all of this seemed like a sweet dream that could be lost at any moment. Are you really Athar? Asked Candy. The girl's brown iris stared at Andra's beaded eyes full of hope. Andra drew a faint smile, her hand reaching out to ruffle Candy's hair. Yes, Candy, now I live as Andra. Because what people know, Athar is no longer there. Only you know about this. Candy nodded. The girl was just silent while staring at the man in front of her. His face was different, but Candy could feel it. The look in Athar's eyes were always the same when he looked into his eyes. Candy, Andra called. I am not Athar anymore now, physically. But my soul, brain and heart are still Athar. Andra stares into Candy's deep eyes. Even though everything has changed, there is one thing that never changes. You still belong to me. Don't you, Candy? Candy nodded. Even though the man in front of her was different, Candy could feel that she was still the same. His body is different, but his soul is the same. Andra pulled a smile. The man took Candy into his arms. I miss climbing into your house. Candy chuckled in Andra's arms. I miss you calling Candy. Jemoyi Candy, said Andra grimly, tightening his hug. Anyone, anytime, anywhere can be dangerous. Dao en tai. Miss, me, don't, Kangen. Coupled Jemoy, what? Do not just answerable. Tonight is a massive party to celebrate Diwa. Candy's father's birthday. Even though it was 2 days ago, they just celebrated it as well as a reunion for the first-generation Eagle members who could just gather completely. A luxury hotel in the Jakarta area, one belonging to Tama Ayubaya, a friend of Dewa, is now a place for Dewa's birthday party. Where is the prize? Tadong Dewa to his friends who just came. That is good, and also Rionaldo. One of 2 of these the first-generation Eagle. Arabian camel, will you? Said Good, joking. Just my arrival is already the most beautiful gift for you. Wjue, said Rion, the guy came all the way from America. Already have everything, still need your present. Wah? Indra sneered, making the god who was holding a glass of drink in front of him laugh. That man didn't need anything. God? Need a present? Said Arjuna. The man had just come with his wife Michaela. Don't try to buy gifts with my money, Jun. Dewa warned. The man stared at Arjuna sharply. Remembering some time ago, Arjuna bought a gift for Marco at a fantastic price. Arjuna chuckled. If Starla says, we won't be poor, honey. She added that mimics Starla's tone. Can I say that? Starla looked at Arjuna with one eyebrow raised. The woman in a red velvet dress has just finished taking care of a surprise event for Dewa. You always say that. Starla. Arjuna nodded. They all laughed. Ayla. Let's go there. Let's not hang out with these gentlemen. Starla invites Michaela to approach her socialite friends on the right. Tama, where is Tama? Asked Arjuna. Busy. Maybe. Good answer. Very busy. Tama came from behind. The man immediately joined his friends. You damn it, Wah. Having a sudden party like this, I am confused about it. Only a god can make the president-director step in, chuckled Arjuna. God drew a grin. Sometimes, something that was planned in advance can be cancelled. Therefore, I adhere to the sudden system dizziness, but sure. I don't really understand the way our chairman thinks, Rion said. So I miss Eagle. Most of the guests here are first-generation Eagle alumni. I was surprised from greedy people to men in ties. Tama smiled proudly. Yoy. This is an event as well as a reunion. An impromptu reunion, said Arjuna as he looked at Dewa from the corner of his eye. What generation are you in now? 4. Huh? Asked Rion. Who's chairman? Marco? Marco doesn't want to continue Eagle. Dewa chuckled, still remembering his son's arrogant tone when Dewa asked Marco to go to Sunday high school so that he could become Eagle chairman. Marco likes to fight, but being the chairman of the gang that has been passed down from generation to generation, that is not what I want. He chose to build his own gang, but only 5 members. The god shrugged his shoulders, sometimes not understanding the thoughts of his eldest son. I heard it from Barbie. She said that now the chairman is Candy? Arjuna said. Replace Athar, Harris Sanjaya's son, the recent terror. It has something to do with the Sanjaya family too, right? Tama's question made them all speechless. Candy had been looking for Marco earlier. He was worried because the twin had not been seen since the program began. He got information that Marco was at the hotel rooftop. Sure enough, Candy found the boy standing, looking at the beautiful expanse of Jakarta from up here. The girl stepped her feet closer to the twin. Watch out, you are getting caught. Scolded Candy. Marco was silent, his eyes staring blankly ahead. Candy sighed. That night, I just got home from Chilla. We finished walking. The tour was not clear, Marco said, his lips forming a crescent moon as he remembered Chilla. I just got home, and I heard Harris calling Pappy. Then Pappy told me Arthur died, his car exploded. I was silent. In my brain there was only one moment at that time. How does Candy feel? Marco looked away, his jet-black irises now glancing at Candy. I immediately let you know where you are. Candy is still silent. Let Marco say what the guy wants to say. Her heart didn't hurt anymore. When she remembered that day, Candy knew how brave she was. I hugged you. I immediately told you the truth. Marco stared at the floor. The boy pulled a smile. So you don't have high hopes. I know you were waiting for him, but what are you all doing to me? Marco raised his gaze, his expression turning cold. I am like a stupid bastard who doesn't know that his girl is dead. We're all hiding it for your health, so you can recover quickly. Candy tried to touch the twin, but Marco brushed it off. Not by hiding my boyfriend's death. I have the right to know. Marco shook his head. I'd better be slapped with 1,000 harsh facts than I cling to false hopes. Sorry, Marco. Candy sighed. I feel like everyone's betrayed me. Marco laughed sadly. Candy stepped forward, pulling Marco into her arms. All a guy needs right now is support and attention. It is hard when we know the fact that our loved ones are gone. Candy has tasted it before. I made him die. No. Company, it is not your fault. Candy shook her head firmly. If that day I didn't force him to walk with me, he wouldn't be involved in the accident. Candy, this is fate. Company evil destiny. Candy closed her eyes, tightening her embrace even more. I will not forgive anyone who has annoyed the people closest to me, Batten Candy. We are seen, said Andra. This morning he and Candy left for school together, and it was quite a spectacle. The reason is, Candy never wants to be close to a guy other than Eagle members, and Andra is not always the center of attention, right? Candy stared at Andra for a moment, then focused again on her way. They have always had that look, ever since they just set foot in Sunday high school. Beautiful Candy, side by side with handsome Athar. The two of them look good together. The king and queen of Matahari High School. Unfortunately, my identity is different, Andra muttered. If not, how dare they stare at the Eagle chairman like that? Candy drew a smile. The boy next to him was still the same, rude and fierce towards others. However, it will turn into a cute and obedient cat when faced with Candy. Boss, called the king. He and Putra just came from the cafeteria and accidentally saw Candy and Andra walking side by side. What a strange sight. Why don't you ask to pick us up? Asked the son. She looked at Andra uncomfortably. Candy understood that because Putra and King didn't know who Andra really was. Sorry. Candy put on a guilty face. Andra happened to be close to her house with me, so I flew. Since when did you like to hang out with guys who weren't familiar with you, boss? Asked King. However, right now the situation was dangerous. It is not good to accept new people. Anyone can be an enemy under the blanket. Andra drew a smile. I am familiar with Candy, really. It has been a long time before I moved here. Really? Putra asked hesitantly. As far as I know, Candy's old boyfriend is only Athar, then Eagle's kids. How do you know? Him? Athar's brother, Candy answered reflex. King and Putra looked at each other, then turned to look at Andra. Then Sergio's brother too then? Asked King. Distant relatives. Andra replied quickly, "So I am not that close to Sergio. It is normal. Distant relatives like to not know." "Oh." Both of them nodded in understanding. "What is the aura?" "Love aura," said the sun. "It is not cool if you want to joke right now. Put. No Ari is playing against you. No Alvin is playing a joke." "There is no Geo," King sighed. "I miss Warm Eagle. You still have me. Wow. We're all going back to how we used to be, I am sure. Whereas in the past there were many hands on their shoulders. Now there are only two supporting each other. If this corridor used to be filled with their laughter, now there is only emptiness. BTW. We have to watch out for Andra." The sun turned to the king. "Why? For a new person, isn't he too close, boss?" "I am just scared," said King hanging. "Afraid of Pahan?" Sun looked up. "Nowadays, anyone can be the enemy under the blanket. God knows, too. If I love you, not destroyed by time until death. Come to pick me up. I am still waiting. You. Another time. Immortal, Love, Song, Diwa, 19. Pali D. Eagle was declared disbanded a few days ago. However, they didn't stop gathering. The proof, the Eagle table, which is located in the middle of the canteen, still looks busy with Eagle children. Ku Bray Tik Token, said Putra. The boy was bored because only himself and King of Eagle second generation were at the table. The rest. Generation 3 children. Bang! I have a new song here. I like to rock Mr. Yanto now, said Raphael. The core child of Eagle 3. Forgotten young mother, said the king. Kaga, young mama, is still at heart. But Mr. Yanto is hot. Raphael opens his TikTok application, tunes Mr. Yanto's song. Haradang, 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 hot, hot panas. It is the server's fault, said Dicta. Sorry, wrong squeeze. Raphael grinned. The boy then tuned the correct song, then invited Putra, King and several other Eagle kids to make TikTok together. Oi damn. Ga. Come here bend. Take King to the two boys who just sit Sangha and Adam. Adam just shook his head. Sangha refused. No sir. Loan, I can't dance. Let lots of viewers hear. They say, if Kogan is the one that makes auto-viral TikTok, try Skutra. No, bang. Reject Sangha while laughing. Watch out, you regret not joining, warned the sun. Then joined by King and the others. Guys, Eagle, kid, on TikTok. I want to rock the young mama with the Eagle kids. Those who play How Come It is not sad, huh? Today I downloaded TikTok to watch them. Okay, shame on me. King immediately stopped. The boy took a seat next to Sangha. Are you embarrassed? Bang? Asked Sangha, joking. Nothing really. But just now my girl passed by, said King, chuckling. Tell you, play and leave me. I almost finished dancing, said Putra while slapping King's shoulder. Anjay, my girl just passed by her friends. Bray, said King. The queen? Yes, princess. Princess is my girl. Yes. You already know, my girl is only queen. What are you doing? King angered. Wait a minute. The sun grabbed King's shoulder. If queen is with her friend, it means princess, right? They are friends. Who? Said King nodding. Ouch. The sun patted his forehead. Which princess doesn't like it when I play TikTok? You think queen likes me to play TikTok? Kaga too. Oh brother, why are you busin? Said Crocodile with a laugh. Ah, you don't understand, man. Sun said. Someday you will busin to the right person. Then you know the taste. You don't need to upload the tick earlier, said King to Raphael. I didn't have time. I was late, said Raphael. Where did you have time? Have watched 1,000, said Dicta Singajesan. There are a lot of them. Putra grabbed Raphael's cell phone while rounding his eyes. Oh my, now there are 5,000 viewers. Yeah. TikTok, I have 25,000 followers, bang Kogan. Raphael wore his arrogant smile. So arrogant, said the son. BTW boss Candy, where? Asked Senga, diverting their discussion from TikTok. King shrugged his shoulders. Earlier, he immediately left class, picked up by Andra, who, bang, a new kid, he says. Othar's cousin, said King. Well, I thought his cousin was just Bang Geo. I don't understand either. Bang Geo, how are you? Asked Adam. Yesterday I realized, but I can't speak. It took him a long time to be in a coma. Hopefully Geo will recover quickly, said Putra. They all fell silent, longing for the warm and pleasant memories when they were all still complete. The terror case. Has there been any insight, Bang? Asked Sangha. After all, it was the terror that made Eagle disbanded. King shook his head. The culprit is like an eel, slippery, hard to catch. The most evil ones, usually the closest people. Adam spoke. Well, that is really true. I've thought from yesterday that if the culprit wasn't far away, someone would be close. Exclaimed the son. People far away can also, if they already understand the problem of terror like this, said Sangha. They all suddenly fell silent, busy with each other's thoughts, until Candy's arrival made them all turn their heads. Yo, was a boss. Sapaputra, the boy raised his hand to ask for fun. Someone's got Sergio's oxygen, Candy said, making the boys in front of her immediately stand up. The patient was traumatized, plus the stitches were open because the patient had a seizure. The doctor left after delivering the results of his examination. This is really crazy. This much CCTV, how come it is all broken? Candy said. Earlier, when they asked for CCTV footage to see the person trying to kill Sergio, it was lost because all CCTV had been tampered with. I guessed. This is not an ordinary person. CCTV is damaged not accidentally. All this has been planned, said Putra. Now they're after Sergio. King shook his head, confused about the purpose of all this. Candy. Not only the owner of the name, but the two men in front of him also turned their heads. Pappy. Candy walked over to her father. What is wrong? Papi has something to say. Diwa pulled Candy's hand towards a quieter place. What do you have to do here, Pai? Candy asked, confused. The god looked into his daughter's eyes. The man grabbed Candy's shoulders. There is good news and bad news. Candy frowned. What? The first good news. We have found the culprit who tried to harm Sergio. Good, who Pai? Don't give it to the police before we beat it, Candy said excitedly. There is more good news, said Diwa. What? Asked Candy, curious. The girl was itching to get back at the terror. She had to be rewarded accordingly for everything that happened. Athar is alive. Candy's eyes were rounded. How did his father know? The bad news. Diwa hung his words. The bad news. What Pai? Those people were ordered by Harisanjaya, Athar's father. No one can be trusted. But yourself. Diwa held Candy's shoulders. The man stared into his daughter's eyes deeply. If Athar suddenly finds you, immediately report it to Papa, because Harisanjaya can't find you at this time. How do you know if Athar is still alive? Candy asked in a trembling voice. She is not surprised by the fact that Athar is still alive. The news about Harisanjaya being the mastermind behind all this makes Candy shaken even more. The perpetrators who were caught informed everything. And from what the police found, the Athar passport was still used on the 20th of September last year, said Diwa. Candy frowned. That means a month after Athar's death. God nodded. Athar's passports are still in use a month after news of his death and their last flight to Seoul, South Korea. That is the strongest evidence that Athar is still alive. For the motive of the terror itself, the police still do not know. Because the perpetrators testified, they were only ordered to do so without any clear reason, continued Diwa. That made Candy even more confused. Candy felt all the blood in her body rustle. His heart was beating very fast and his bones began to droop. The girl clung to her father because she felt weak. No way, Pai, Candy said quietly. Why is Athar's father trying to terrorize him? Nothing's impossible, Candy, Diwa said with a serious face. Everyone you should be aware of, even if it is someone closest to you. But why? Candy asked in a weak voice. If it is true that Amharis did all this, what is wrong with our family? The god was silent. There was one thing he couldn't tell Candy yet, because he himself still could not confirm that. I don't know either. Candy. Diwa pulled Candy into his arms. For the time being, you are careful, huh? Candy closed her eyes. All of this really fed him and had a headache. Thinking about what, who, why, and how things he never imagined could happen. Maybe it is true. Not everyone can be trusted. However, it was strange that the person who was always standing at the front to guard us turned out to be the one who stabbed us in the back. Everything can't be trusted yet. You want to go home with Pappy? Bargained Dewa. Candy will be here for a moment, Pai. I have something to talk to my friends, Candy replied. The girl pulled herself slowly from God's embrace. The god nodded. The man gently stroked his daughter's hair. Call Pappy if there is anything. Yes, Pai. Candy nodded obediently. The girl waved as the god left her. What game is this really? Muttered Candy as she closed her eyes. Who is the criminal? Who is really that good? Who was hurt? And most importantly, why is all this happening? The clink of the cell phone caught Candy sober. The girl took her cell phone, which was located in her pants pocket, then saw whose message had just entered. Andra. Candy. How is Geo? Candy was silent for a long time, staring at her cell phone. Can I believe you? Wei. Gaykor. The excitement of the Matahari High School canteen arises when two core members of Eagle Generation 2 have returned from the hospital. They are Ari and Alvin. Suddenly, the canteen would be busy again, because now the rioters had returned. Previously, only King and Putra remained. Both of them were like salt without vegetables if Ari and Alvin were not there. Yakali not young mom, Ari said, inviting his friends to play TikTok, celebrating the return of him and Alvin from the hospital after a week's stay there. Bang, it is out of date. Now it is the same young papa, Mr. Yanto, said Dicta. My feeling is just a week in the hospital. Has the trend changed? Asked Ari. The earth changes every second. Bang, Adam replied. It is different when a smart person answers, said King, who was hanging his hand on the son's shoulder. My stupid brain shakes. Nothing stupid, Bang, said Adam. Yes, damn. It is just not as smart as there is, said Alvin. Now the king is a species. I am starting. King shouts. Which stand is Sangha? Putra asked when he realized that the boy who always wore a black slayer on his head was not there. Miss you, Bang. Just searched, Sangha came. The two buttons of his uniform are open at the top, showing a black shirt as the inner layer, not forgetting that his shirt is taken out and the sleeves are rolled up, showing his sports, heavy arms. Imagine? Let's imagine. From your mane? Putra asked, seeing Sangha's hair. which was slightly wet. Sangha combs his wet front hair with his fingers. After my prayer, Subhanallah, Babang Sangha is really dreaming, said King, shaking his head in amazement. Yes, Bang handsome. Sangha chuckled while praising himself. Sangantong, unclean, said Bwana when she heard Sangha praise him for being handsome. Yeah, but Sangha is handsome. The smell of the aura of the candidate for chairman is different. Yeah, my Kianjet Athar, said Alvin, deja vu with Sangha's overcrowding like a thar. By the way, Bang Athar. Yesterday I accidentally saw his house, just when a boy came out of there, using a motorbike with Bang Athar's helmet, like Bang Athar I swear, said Dicta, which made them all turn to the boy. Are you serious, brother? Asked King. 1,000 Rias, Bang, very similar, said Dicta confidently. Did you see the Mukanye, right? Asked the son. Dicta shook his head. Sengenjizan, really, Ela. The son immediately hit the head of Dicta. That is what you say is similar. It looks like it. Bang's stature is similar from behind. Bang Athar's really, said Dicta convincingly. Bye. You don't need to discuss it. It is also impossible that Athar, said Ari, closing their discussion. Yes. That is right. It can't be Athar, add Alvin, even though they actually hoped that Athar's figure would still exist. Where is Papa now? Andra asked in a half-whisper. The man is at school and looking for a quiet place to talk to his father. Is Papa safe there? Andra's face looked worried. That means from now on, Papa, don't call me using a private number so that no one can track Papa's whereabouts. Andra nodded his head. Yes, I know Papa is in charge, but now it is a different story, the boy sighed. What are our next plans? Candy leaned against a wall to protect herself. The girl squeezed her chest hard to stop the irregular beating in her heart. What was the meaning of the conversation between Andra and his father just now? What plan? So, Harris Sanjaya is really running away now. All the speculations and questions popped into Candy's mind, suffocating the girl because she still couldn't connect every puzzle she was going through. The next victim. Who will it be? The last sentence Andra said was enough to make tears flow from Candy's eyes. So, they are. Allow me to be the one who calls you without hesitation. Even though you are different now, boss. Candy snapped out of her reverie as soon as King hit her shoulder very hard. The girl turned her head, gave the King a sharp gaze. King immediately took a sip of saliva. They had never seen Candy's gaze for a long time. Geez, boss. I am afraid you will be caught, so I hit it. A little. It doesn't hurt, boss. Plaque. As soon as he finished speaking, King immediately received a heavy slap in the head. The boy grimaced, then turned to the son. How come you beat my nutmeg, put? Said King annoyed. Boss. I already replied. Really? The King has no morals. Get mad at boss. Instead of responding to King, Putra approached Candy to encourage her. Indeed, friends don't have all the morals, inner King. Boss. My goodness, boss. If you are cheated once again, I'll be handsome like Squidward. Poor Queen has a lot of time, said King begging. Unclean, your dream is big like Squidward, Airy said. Blasphemy, against your Squidward. Diem, Candy said, not in an angry tone, but enough to make the 4 boys who were with him speechless. Boss. Why? Among the 4 of them, only Alvin dared to open his voice to ask Candy. It is okay, Candy said. However, it was obvious that the girl was covering up something. Boss. We take care of you. But we are friends, family. We can make a place to share if you don't know who you want to talk to, Alvin said at length. That is right, boss. Even though we are comedians and seem like we don't have a brain, we actually really care for you. We just don't know how to let you open up to us. Ari added. I agree. But I don't agree that the part has no brain, said King. King, please, being serious. Sun gave his tired gaze towards King. I am sorry, said King, looking down. I don't want all of you to get involved any further. Candy looked at her friends in turn. Ari and Alvin have become victims. Sergio, I can't get involved with you any further. Boss, called Putra, making Candy turn around. Assume that we are all in the plant versus zombie game. We are all the plants, and the terrorists are the zombies, said Putra, confusing his friends. Huh. What do you do? I didn't get to my brain with your parable put, said King, while scratching his head, which was not itchy. Luckily, I am just acting not real like you, King. Sun hissed. The boy took out his cell phone. Opens his plant versus zombie game. Here, look. This is Candy. Putra pointed to a plant that stands upright on its own. This is the terror, he continued, pointing to several zombies. This is what happens when Candy fights them all by herself. She only manages to fight one side without realizing that she is missed on many sides, explained Putra at length. The boy then switched the display of his cell phone. Here is another version. Look at here, a lot of plants. That is us, Eagle. The sun smiled. By being united, we can fight the terror from all directions. The point is, you can't be alone. There is always Eagle who is your protector, like we all promise. Close Putra while putting back his cell phone. Dog stays a boy's brain can think about it, said the king excited. The boy embraced Putra. Mr. Yanto is proud to see you put. I am touched. Put. You can think so. Ari shook his head while patting Putra's shoulder, amazed. Wow. It is clear. If you are Boker, my idea is really smooth. The sun put on his arrogant face. Well, like this. If it is dilapidated, it is just a mess. Start again, said Alvin, shaking his head. Candy smiled. Many people standing behind her. The girl felt grateful to be surrounded by friends like them. When no one could be trusted, Candy was sure that her friends could trust her somehow. Thanks. Candy looked at her friends sincerely. Ah, boss. In friendship there is no thanks. If it is still awkward, it is not a friend, Ari exclaimed. Teletubbies scooey, said Alvin. His friends who understood immediately took their position. They all stood in a circle with Candy in the middle, then had a Teletubbies-style hug. Friendship. Never die. Eagle. We aren't friends. We are family. Hey. Candy walked casually down the hospital hallway. The girl was clutching a plastic bag filled with fruit for Sergio. Even though that guy can't eat yet, today Candy came alone. She didn't inform Andra even though the boy kept calling her. Candy thinks Dewa's suggestion is very applicable for the time being. Just as she was about to open the door to Sergio's room, Candy's cell phone rang. The girl stopped her activities and chose to take the cell phone that she put in her pocket. Pappy. Candy muttered when she saw ID caller with her father's name on it. Candy immediately shifted the green icon and put the flat object on her ear. Why? Pie, replied Candy. Pappy, just got the news. Sergio's father, who just arrived in Indonesia, was involved in an accident. Candy's eyes were perfectly round. The girl leaned against the wall. Gio's father had an accident? I think this has something to do with Harris Sanjaya, said Dewa on the other side. How is Sergio's Papa, Pie, died? On the spot. Candy was even more surprised. This has something to do with that terror, P. The motive for this terror is getting clear. The struggle for power, Dewa explained. But what has that got to do with us? Why are they bothering us too? I can't confirm that yet. Candy, you are still careful. God reminder. His phone connection then lost because Candy turned it off. The girl was completely shocked. Not only was Sergio the victim but his father too. And all this because of Haris Sanjaya, Athar's father. Does Athar know that his father is that bad? Or is Athar a part of them? Various thoughts filled Candy's head. The girl closed her eyes. He must accompany Sergio at this time. Surely the guy will be devastated if he hears this news. Candy opened the door to Sergio's room. His eyes were rounded when he saw someone holding Sergio's oxygen mask. The plastic in Candy's grip fell off. Her hand turned to cover her own mouth, unable to believe what she was seeing. What do you want, Sergio? Candy asked in a weak voice. Candy, you misunderstood. This is not. Exit, shouted Candy. Candy, don't call me that name again. Get out of here. Candy's gasping breath, her shoulders heaving in the sign of swelling emotions. Candy, I can explain. Out, Andra. Candy's eyes stared at the boy sharply, unable to move. Andra left Sergio's room. Candy immediately ran over to Sergio. The boy couldn't speak, his eyes twinkling like a sign. Candy didn't understand. I'll take care of you, G.I., Candy said, holding Sergio's hand. Athar changed, G. He is not the guy we know. A single tear poured from Candy's eyelids. Even the most trusted can be the most professional traitor. Candy glanced at the man in front of her. The girl held Sergio's hand tightly, her tears falling like a water tap opened wide. Candy has never been this weak. Only in front of Sergio can she pour it all out. I don't know what all this means, G. Candy wiped her tears. They are evil. Sergio looked at Candy. The boy wanted to say something, but his mouth was tightly locked. It was difficult for him to even move, let alone speak. All the boy could do was blink and mutter incoherently. What can you say in that way, seeing that Sergio seemed to want to talk to him? Suddenly, Candy remembered something. The girl looked at Sergio with rounded eyes. At that time you wanted to talk to me, right? G? Candy asked. You said Andra and Athar are dangerous. Do you already know that he is the same person? Sergio blinked twice. So, you wanted to tell me from a long time ago that Athar was evil. G. Candy's shoulders went limp. Supposedly that day she should stay with Sergio. That day Candy should find out and listen to everything Sergio wants to say. If that day could be played, surely there would be no more victims. Surely Sergio's father wouldn't die. Surely they could catch the culprit sooner. Sergio doesn't know that his father died. Candy looked back at Sergio. The woman felt responsible for what happened. Should I tell Sergio about his father? But if Sergio gets even more down and makes him unable to recover, I will feel even more guilty. Various thoughts haunt Candy's head. All the girl could do at this point was grab Sergio's hand. He didn't know what steps to take. What should he say and what should he do? Her cell phone clinked, making Candy's reverie shattered. The girl immediately took the flat object that she kept in her jacket pocket, opened it to see who sent her the message. Papi, Sanjaya's family disappeared. How, Del? T? Candy walked into her house languidly. The beautiful girl found her twin brother Marco was sitting in front of the television in the living room. Without thinking, Candy immediately approached her twin. Take a position next to the guy who is wearing a black shirt and shorts. Where are you from? Marco asked without taking his eyes off the SpongeBob cartoon on television. Hospital, Candy replied. The girl sighed, which made Marco turn his head reflexively. What is wrong? Asked Marco. The boy felt something was wrong with his twin sister, from behavior to Marco's uncomfortable feelings. I am confused. Company Candy leaned her head on Marco's shoulder, her eyes closed with her heavy breathing. Marco glanced at the little brother who was only 5 minutes away from him, then raised a hand to gently stroke Candy's head. Story, all that terror. Company, they come from Athar. The person I've cried about this year, Candy said, with a weak tone. I heard it from Pappy. You said that Arthur's father was the head of the Mafia, right? Candy nodded. But it is her father, not Athar. Athar is his father's son, Nd. Like father, like son, like me and Pappy. Marco said. The boy actually didn't know Athar very well, but what Marco knew was that Athar was the only man his twin loved. According to you, Company Candy pulled herself up. The girl looked at Marco with a serious expression. He even almost killed someone because that person accidentally ran into me. He stood at the front when his friends got into trouble. A person like Athar. Can you do this cruel thing, which almost killed a lot of people who are actually friends? Candy said. The girl wanted to reject the truth. Can Athar's past, Candy's good, be an excuse as she still trusts that guy? But what Candy saw in the hospital earlier seemed to erase all the good memories Athar had ever done. The boy disappeared for quite a while. Don't know where, with whom and what he has been up to this year. 1 second can change a person, let alone a year. The past is not a guarantee for the future. There is a lot of speculation in your brain right now, NDI. Marco saw her right in the eye. Follow your heart. My heart says. Candy knitted her brows. When you are confused because your brain and heart are not in harmony. Try to follow your heart. Sometimes logic is not always right, Marco explained at length. Follow your heart. But Candy didn't know what her heart was saying at the moment. Everything suddenly felt terrible, painful, and senseless. I am getting confused. Candy leaned her head on the sofa. In your opinion, Company people who love you, would you have the heart to hurt those around you, including you who she loves? Asked Candy. The girl was getting frustrated. The puzzle pieces he was trying to assemble right now could never come together because he put them on the wrong board. Marco looked at Candy with calm eyes. Everyone is not the same. We can't compare or use someone as an example to judge other people. In my life, I've never had a name that I judge person based on the character of person B, because A and B are different. No matter how similar, they won't be the same. Marco replied at length, no matter how similar, they will never be the same. Candy's eyes opened wide. The girl stared at Marco. From the look on her face, it seemed that the girl had gotten something. I suddenly thought of something because of what you just said, Ko. It is not in vain that I talked at length. Marco pulled back a faint smile, then turned back to face the television. Hopefully what I am thinking right now. Candy muttered to herself. How are you doing, Sergio? Asked Marco. As far as Marco knows, Sergio was hospitalized together with him, and Marco recovered first, even though at that time Marco's condition was worse. He can't speak yet. Candy sighed, and Sergio seems to know something. Hearing that, Marco frowned. The boy turned towards Candy. Wasn't that Sergio stabbed in the stomach, huh? Candy nodded. What does he have to do with being stabbed so he can't talk like a lame person? Marco asked in surprise. Instantly, Candy realized there were many surprises and his thoughts began to connect with what was happening now. The girl took Marco's arm. Ko, I swear I didn't even mind. I just realized. Candy looked at Marco with rounded eyes. Sergio was stabbed in the stomach. He shouldn't have been paralyzed. Something's wrong then, Marco said. Candy cupped Marco's cheeks. Thanks for opening my brain, Ko. The girl immediately got up. I have to go to the hospital now. Marcona Lo doing again with Calvin? A girl with green ombre hair walks into the mansion owned by Candy's parents. The girl is Barbie Henzi Pradipta, the only child of Arjuna Pradipta and the cousin of Aluna Candy. Barbie, don't scream, said Candy. The girl was just getting ready to return to the hospital. Earlier, Candy wanted to go straight to the hospital when she got new facts from Marco. But Diwa's arrival made him discouraged. They chat a little later and Diwa allows Candy to return to the hospital under supervision. Where is Marcona? Asked Barbie. The girl's eyes darted around the living room. He went with his friends to their regular cafe, Candy replied. The girl shook her head. They just never got along. Which cafe? Candy rolled her eyes. Which cafe did Marco listen to his friends? When he got an answer, Barbie immediately turned around. There was not a word, let alone thank you. The girl just looked away. Candy shook her head as Barbie left. The girl took out her cell phone, opened the Eagle Core group, and typed a message there. Eagle, Core Gen, -2, 7. Aluna, Candy, can anyone accompany me to the hospital? Ari, Nolan Lorenzo, ready. 86 Boss, what position? Son of Casta Brata, ready. 86 Boss, what position? 2. King Lee Charlin, ready. 86 Boss, what position? 3. Alvin Reagan, ready. 86 Boss, what position? 4. Why do everyone copy and paste my chats? Mager, typing Bray, Mager, typing Bray 2, to be compact. Aaron, Nolan Lorenzo, Somplac, times, don't talk about what is not important. I need a friend to go to the hospital. Now, I am waiting at home. Ashiap slid 86 bosses. Ashiap slid 86 bosses 2. Ashiap slid 86 bosses 3. Melun Kur. Endau, Wes. Assalamualaikum. Bosses, shouted the son. He and his 3 friends Ari, Alvin and King were already in front of Candy's house to accompany the girl to the hospital. Take it easy. Put you really say hello, said Alvin admonished Putra while hitting the boy's back shoulder. Yay. Let the inside hear. Kaga is sure I live as big as this. My screams are heard, said Putra. The 4 boys were waiting while sitting on their respective motorbikes. Ari was excited while pointing towards the front, making his friends turn to the direction the boy was pointing. What? King asked curiously. His eyes were busy looking for what was wrong with what Ari was pointing at. What? Put? Asked Alvin, confused. The view is really good in Sono. Make you TikTok scooey, said Ari then, who immediately got a toyaron from his friends. Rai, please. King patted his forehead to face his best friend's behavior. Indeed, they are crazy and like weird, but right now they are in a tense situation. You were thinking about TikTok. Alvin shook his head. The guy was a little sane from the rest of his friends. Have you been a long time? Candy comes from inside her house. The girl is wearing a black bomber jacket and white jeans. Just now, boss, said the son. Candy nodded. The girl looked at her friends in turn. Did everyone really come? Yoy, boss. If it is a matter of taking care of the boss, we're at the front, said Ari while patting his chest. Not only us, boss. All Eagle kids, if you tell them to come here, will come right away, said Alvin. Yoy, boss. We promise to take care of you, Putra added. They are all right. When Candy was in need, they would come voluntarily. That is what Athar ordered, to always take care of himself. But now, Athar himself put her in danger. Are we going to the hospital? Boss? Asked King. Yes. Candy nodded. Then the 5 of them got on their motorbikes and drove to the hospital. Seek justification. Hi sister, so cute. Ari teased when a nurse passed. They were walking toward Sergio's room. I adu an era, low, said Alvin irritably. Since earlier Ari was being annoying. Nutmeg. I got stuck, my soul turned into fake boy's soul. Originally answered Ari. Don't be loud, said Candy, who walked the front. Instantly his friends were silent. Later. I'll get rid of Ari's head, boss. Calm down, said Putra, who was standing behind Candy. I'll be a princess if you dare. Threatened Ari because Putra wanted to hit him. I aduan era low, replied Putra, not wanting to lose. You are noisy. King walked ahead of his friends side by side with Candy. Then the boy went ahead when he arrived in front of Sergio's room. King turned the doorknob excitedly. Sergiu King Kangan Nitch. Woi idiot. Jan screaming. Scolded Alvin. The boy shook his head while massaging his temples. No one is sane. La. King fell silent. The boy stared at Sergio's gurney, which was empty. Where is Sergio? Asked the son. They all stared at Sergio's neat bed. How come he is left? You are still sick, said Putra. Candy fell silent. The girls stared at Sergio's empty bed, her head shaking her head. Sergio can't come home. Yes, boss. His father just died. We also never met his family. As long as I do. Sergio's family is only Athar, said Putra. They all stared at Candy. Is it possible that Sergio was brought by Athar's father? Said Alvin. They all don't know the truth about the Sanjaya family yet. If it is true, Sergio is brought by his father Athar. Candy hung up. Her eyes took turns to the 4 boys in front of her, meaning Sergio is in danger. Why is it dangerous, boss? Asked Ari. Not that Athar's dad is Sergio's family. Should that guy safe? What don't we know, boss? Now that King asked, the 4 boys looked at Candy with a glance asking for an explanation. Candy is silent. He couldn't tell them all this, could he? She didn't know the truth herself. How could Candy drag even more people into this problem? Boss! Called Alvin to wake Candy from her reverie. Candy blinked. The girl shook her head. Her cell phone rings, making Candy stop. The girl immediately grabbed a flat object in her jacket pocket, hoping it was some information from her father. However, that hope was dashed. Candy's eyes were perfectly rounded when a name appeared on her cell phone screen. Athar. Sanjaya. Hey, Candy. Do you miss me? Marcona Low doing again with Calvin? A girl with green ombre hair walks into the mansion owned by Candy's parents. The girl is Barbie Henzi Pradipta, the only child of Arjuna Pradipta and the cousin of Aluna Candy. Barbie. Don't scream, said Candy. The girl was just getting ready to return to the hospital. Earlier, Candy wanted to go straight to the hospital when she got new facts from Marco. But Diwa's arrival made him discouraged. They chat a little later and Diwa allows Candy to return to the hospital under supervision. Where is Marcona? Asked Barbie. The girl's eyes darted around the living room. He went with his friends to their regular cafe. Candy replied. The girl shook her head. They just never got along. Which cafe? Candy rolled her eyes. Which cafe did Marco listen to his friends? When he got an answer, Barbie immediately turned around. There was not a word, let alone thank you. The girl just looked away. Candy shook her head as Barbie left. The girl took out her cell phone, opened the Eagle Core group and typed a message there. Eagle, Core Gen, -27, Aluna, Candy, can anyone accompany me to the hospital? Ari, Nolan, Lorenzo, ready? 86 boss. What position? son of Casta Brata. Ready 86 boss. What position 2? King Lee Charlin. Ready 86 boss. What position 3? Alvin Reagan. Ready 86 boss. What position 4? Why do everyone copy and paste my chats? Mager typing Bray. Mager typing Bray 2. To be compact. Aaron Nolan Lorenzo. Somplac. Times. Don't talk about what is not important. I need a friend to go to the hospital. Now, I am waiting at home. A Shiap slid 86 bosses. A Shiap slid 86 bosses 2. A Shiap slid 86 bosses 3. Melon Kerr. Tao Wen. Assalamualaikum bosses, shouted the son. He and his 3 friends Ari, Alvin and King were already in front of Candy's house to accompany the girl to the hospital. Take it easy. Put you really say hello, said Alvin admonished Putra while hitting the boy's back shoulder. Yay. Let the inside hear. Kaga is sure I live as big as this. My screams are heard, said Putra. The 4 boys were waiting while sitting on their respective motorbikes. Ari was excited while pointing towards the front, making his friends turn to the direction the boy was pointing. What? King asked curiously. His eyes were busy looking for what was wrong with what Ari was pointing at. What? Put? Asked Alvin, confused. The view is really good in Sono. Make you TikTok skue, said Ari then, who immediately got a toyaran from his friends. Rye, please? King patted his forehead to face his best friend's behavior. Indeed, they are crazy and like weird, but right now they are in a tense situation. You were thinking about TikTok. Alvin shook his head. The guy was a little sane from the rest of his friends. Have you been a long time? Candy comes from inside her house. The girl is wearing a black boomer jacket and white jeans. Just now, boss, said the son. Candy nodded. The girl looked at her friends in turn. Did everyone really come? Yoy. Boss. If it is a matter of taking care of the boss, we're at the front, said Ari while patting his chest. Not only us, boss. All Eagle kids, if you tell them to come here, will come right away, said Alvin. Yoy. Boss. We promise to take care of you, Putra added. They are all right. When Candy was in need, they would come voluntarily. That is what Athar ordered, to always take care of himself. But now, Athar himself put her in danger. Are we going to the hospital, boss? Asked King. Yes. Candy nodded. Then the 5 of them got on their motorbikes and drove to the hospital. Seek justification. Hi, sister. So cute. Ari teased when a nurse passed. They were walking towards Sergio's room. Rai. Aya doin' era. Low, said Alvin irritably. Since earlier Ari was being annoying. Nutmeg, I got stuck. My soul turned into Fuckboy's soul, originally answered Ari. Don't be loud, said Candy, who walked the front. Instantly his friends were silent. Later. I'll get rid of Ari's head, boss. Calm down, said Putra, who was standing behind Candy. I'll be a princess if you dare, threatened Ari because Putra wanted to hit him. I aduin era low, replied Putra, not wanting to lose. You are noisy. King walked ahead of his friends, side by side with Candy. Then the boy went ahead when he arrived in front of Sergio's room. King turned the doorknob excitedly. Sergio King Kangan, Nitch, Woy idiot Jan screaming, scolded Alvin. The boy shook his head while massaging his temples. No one is sane. Lay. King fell silent. The boy stared at Sergio's gurney, which was empty. Where is Sergio? Asked the son. They all stared at Sergio's neat bed. How come he is left? You are still sick, said Putra. Candy fell silent. The girl stared at Sergio's empty bed, her head shaking her head. Sergio can't come home. Yes. Boss. His father just died. We also never met his family. As long as I do, Sergio's family is only Ather, said Putra. They all stared at Candy. Is it possible that Sergio was brought by Ather's father? Said Alvin. They all don't know the truth about the Sanjaya family yet. If it is true, Sergio is brought by his father Athar. Candy hung up. Her eyes took turns to the 4 boys in front of her, meaning Sergio is in danger. Huh? Why is it dangerous, boss? Asked Ari. Not that Ather's dad is Sergio's family. Should that guy safe? What don't we know, boss? Now that King asked, the 4 boys looked at Candy with a glance asking for an explanation. Candy is silent. He couldn't tell them all this, could he? She didn't know the truth herself. How could Candy drag even more people into this problem? Boss, called Alvin to wake Candy from her reverie. Candy blinked. The girl shook her head. Her cell phone rings, making Candy stop. The girl immediately grabbed a flat object in her jacket pocket, hoping it was some information from her father. However, that hope was dashed. Candy's eyes were perfectly rounded when a name appeared on her cell phone screen. Athar Sanjaya. Hey, Candy. Do you miss me? Clade. Your silence has 1,000 meanings. Athar Sanjaya. Hey, Candy. Do you miss me? Candy froze in place reading the message. Wasn't Ather's cell phone lost during the accident? And Andra's name should have appeared because he also had to hide Ather's identity. Then, who sent him the message? Boss, called Ari while touching Candy's shoulder to revive the girl. Candy looked surprised. The girl turned to Ari, then hurriedly put away her cell phone. Yes, he said half nervously. Boss. Why are you nervous? Asked Putra, aware of Candy's sudden change in attitude. Candy shook her head quickly. I am fine. Let's think about it now. Where is Sergio? He doesn't have anyone, right? Said King panicked. Sergio is their dearest friend. In a way, Sergio is Ather's replacement in his absence. Sergio always took care of them, and Sergio also gave the honor to Candy to replace Ather. Although Sergio is actually the more worthy, we have to ask the receptionist. Surely they will know. When patients check out, they always report there, suggested Alvin. They all nodded in agreement, then walked to the front of the receptionist who was with Candy. They arrived at the receptionist and immediately became the center of attention. Maybe because he was surprised to find the arrival of a handsome boy with a beautiful girl with a face that was not relaxed like he wanted to invite a fight. The patient on behalf of Sergio Abraham has returned home, MBA. Candy asked the woman in the white uniform who was guarding the receptionist. The 25-year-old woman was silent for a while, staring one by one the creatures in front of him. Geez, handsome. But why are all his faces so scary? MBA. It is not the time to be fascinated. I'll give my WA first answer our boss's question, said Ari when he realized he was being noticed. The man in the ripped jeans-style black shirt and denim jacket glared at the woman in front of him. Sorry. The woman immediately lowered her head, staring at the computer screen in front of her. I'll look for the data briefly. About 5 minutes of waiting, then they got an answer. The patient on behalf of Sergio Abraham has been transferred to another hospital by his family. Huh. They said together. Who is his family, MBA? Asked Candy. Sorry beforehand. Who are Sergio patients? Because we can only provide information to the patient's family, said the woman, with the name tag Ariana Granite on her uniform. MBA Ariana Granite, said Ari while glancing at the woman's name tag. We are the Sergio family. I am his younger brother who ran away from home, said Ari. Then point to Putra, so if I am a future brother-in-law Sergio, MBA. The son then patted King's shoulder, for me Sergio's half-sister. King then turned to Alvin. I am Sergio's brother, said Alvin. The boy grabbed Candy's shoulder. This is Sergio's brother. We are all Abraham's family. MBA, said Ari later. Lying for good. Is it okay? After all, they really are family. Eagle. We aren't friends. We are family. Can you tell us now, MBA? Asked Ari again. This time the man brought out his charisma while looking into Ariana's eyes. Enchanted the woman. Fine, said Ariana later. The woman returned to work on her computer. Thank you to the charisma and aura of Fuckboy. And Ari Nolan Lorenzo at this time. The patient on behalf of Sergio Abraham has been taken to another hospital. Here the hospital is kept secret, and Harris Sanjaya is the guarantor. Ariana finished reading Sergio's history. Harris? Muttered Candy. Harris Sanjaya kidnapped Sergio. Awela brought with father. Putra replied responsively. Thanks MBA for the info. We're not in touch with Dad. Let's say goodbye, MBA. Alvin led his friends to leave immediately because the information they got was enough. The 5 of them returned to the parking lot. Standing in a circle while thinking about what happened, if it is brought by Uncle Harris, that means it is safe, right? Said King. That is Ather's father Sergio's uncle too. And maybe because Sergio's bocap died. That is why now Harris wants to take care of Sergio. It makes sense, King. Then, what should we do now if we want to find him? We don't know where Gio was taken with his father Athar, said Ari while staring at his friends in turn. They also display the same face. Confused. Just come to Athar's house. How about it? We used to go there often. Ari's suggestion. We've never been there since Athar died. Surely the atmosphere will be different, said Alvin. Makes them all think again. Since earlier, Candy was silent. His brain was wondering about the new facts he had discovered. Starting from a serious illness that Sergio suffered from. Sergio was lost. Brought by Ather's father and the fact that Ather's father was here, whereas before, Diwa said that the Sanjaya family disappeared. However, today Harris Sanjaya is here. Pick up Sergio. What for? Do they want to hurt the helpless Sergio? Killed him, get rid of it, or invite that guy to join them? Or, had it turned out that Sergio was part of them all along? Boss? Do you have any suggestions? King said, touching Candy's shoulder because the girl seemed pensive. Eh? Candy blinked. The girl returned to her world. Why? Are you daydreaming, boss? Asked the son. They all looked at Candy with worried eyes after all. Candy was the one who was tormented the most here. Candy shook her head quickly. Just when he wanted to answer, the sound of the phone interrupted him. The girl immediately took the cell phone that she kept in her pants pocket. When she saw Diwa's name plastered there, Candy immediately stepped away from her friends. After being at a considerable distance, the girl immediately picked up the phone. Hello, Pi. Where are you, dear? Said Diwa on the other side. Candy glanced at her friends who were talking to each other. At the hospital, Pi with my friends. Why? Can you follow Pappy to Dr. Sean Tanda's office? Candy frowned. That is the doctor who handled Sergio, right, Pi? Yes, dear. You come here. Yes, Papi. Wait, said Diwa softly. Yes, Pi. Then the phone was cut off. Candy went back to her friends, and all eyes immediately fell on the girl. My butt told me to come to the palace. Do you want to come? Candy offered to the 4 boys. Come along, boss. We're here to take care of you, boss, said Putra, nodded in agreement by his friends. Yoy, boss. We have the front, back, left and right to protect the boss from all sides. King added with his pretentious cool style. Candy drew a smile. Come on. And why? Candy entered alone into Dr. Sean Tandaz's room because her father asked only her to enter. Once inside, Candy was surprised that there weren't just gods, but there are also Tama and Arjuna there, friends of his father. Who is sick pie? Candy asked, seeing the three of them here. The god played his hand, making a summoning gesture. Candy nodded and then took a standing position next to her father. They all stood before Dr. Sean Tanda's table. I ask the doctor to be honest now, said Tama openly. The man leaned over Dr. Sean, not forgetting to put on a fierce face. Honest? What? Asked Dr. Sean haltingly. Brack. Tama pounded the doctor's table violently. His eyes narrowed sharply. If you want your doctor's career to be safe until you retire, answer our questions honestly. Still young. How come you want to cheat? We have more hours to fly than yours. How much do you pay to keep your mouth shut? Diwa looked at the man. I can pay many times. I don't know what you mean, said Dr. Sean again, still stammering. Oh. Tama nodded. The man cracked his neck right and left, not forgetting to stretch his muscles while grinding his fingers to make a sound. Preparing to beat someone up. My hand was the last time I hit someone. It was in high school, Tama said. Then the man looked at Arjuna. What about my last victim, Jun? The one with the broken arm? Isn't it, Tam? Said Arjuna while remembering. Or that up to a month's coma. I was the one who beat me in a coma. Dr. Sean took a sip of saliva. Dead, he was dealing with the wrong people. So, Doctor, will you still be quiet? Asked Arjuna casually. Or do you want to speak out about what happened to patient on behalf of Sergio Abraham? In 5 seconds, you are still silent. I make sure that starting tomorrow your doctor degree will not be of any use, said Dewa. I just told to, sir. I was paid $300 million to inject a paralyzing drug into Sergio Abraham's patient. I just told to, sir. I was paid $300 million to inject a paralyzing drug into Sergio Abraham's patient. You go to an expensive school, only to be paid $300 million and put someone else's name at risk? Asked Arjuna, unable to stop thinking. What did you do when you took your medical oath? Tama stared at Dr. Sean in annoyance. I was threatened too, sir. The doctor looked scared. If I don't want to do what they want, my family will be at stake. They all look at each other. It is not impossible if this doctor is telling the truth, given that their current enemy is the Mafia leader, who justifies any means to smooth his plans. I'll give you 1 minute explain, said Diwa. They all stared at Dr. Sean. Dr. Sean nodded. At that time there were about 2 men who came to me. They asked me to paralyze the patient and even die. At first I refused. I could swear because I never wanted to be a murderer. But whoever they are, they know who my family is and threaten to involve my family if I don't comply with their request. The man said solemnly. Once I refused, my younger siblings suddenly had an accident, and that was their doing, so I was forced to follow their wishes. It was seen that the man showed his weak side. The face flushed with eyes that started to drop clear crystals. Dr. Sean turned his gaze towards God. You said you could pay me many times over, right? I concluded you are not an ordinary person, then? Diwa replied while raising an eyebrow. I don't need money. If all of you are trying to find out about that person, I am willing to help. But please free me from them. The man in the doctor's white coat looked pleading. Arjuna touched the god's shoulder, causing the man to turn his head towards him. Do not easily believe it, but somehow my feeling is an honest doctor, said Arjuna. Arjuna Pradipta. Never doubted the feeling. Have what evidence we can believe? Asked Tama, still wearing a fierce face. Proof of transfer. Let us track down the culprit, suggested Arjuna. Dr. Sean shook his head. They pay with cash. Even here, different people don't call. They play clean, said Diwa. There must be a gap, said Arjuna, thinking sharply. I've heard them mention one name, said Dr. Sean, creating a tension when the man looked away at her. Who? Asked Diwa, his tone serious. They always mention Haris Sanjaya, sir. No more mistake. Yes, Chues. I sent Zero a new TikTok, exclaimed Ari, while hitting King's arm next to him. King turned his head, saw the direction of Ari's cell phone screen. What? It is hard. It looks easy, said Ari. Both of them watched the TikTok video sent by their Zero Younger classmate. Just tick it off, said Alvin, shaking his head embarrassedly with the attitude of Ari and King. Currently, they are gathering at Wabaha, because Candy didn't want to go home and invited her to gather at Wabaha. Even though there has been no official order for Eagle to return again, their brotherly ties remain close, and Wabaha will always be their gathering place. Whether there is Eagle or not, I am lonely, because Era broke my chat, said Ari while putting on a sour face. So don't be a fake boy. Chirp Putra, fake boy was born from a good boy who was hurt. Now I am one of them, Ari defended himself. True fake boy laughs at your reason. Rai, said King, with a teasing laugh at Ari. Basic Ari fake boy KW. Candy has been silent since earlier. His head was really dizzy thinking about the series of events that existed. Starting from the initial terror, to what was the reason Haris Sanjaya did this? Where is Athar, who always stands at the front if anyone dares to disturb Candy? Why is Athar the one who hurts him the most now? Boss, is there a problem? Asked the son. He always watched Candy, who kept silent. And the silence of the girl must be something. Maybe Candy couldn't share what she was thinking, because all they knew was that the girl didn't like burdening other people into her troubles. Therefore, Candy decided to disband Eagle, because she thought that the terrorists wanted destruction for Eagle. However, Candy was wrong. The terrorists targeted Candy instead of Eagle. I am confused, Candy said, making all the attention now turn to him. Confused why? Boss? Asked Alvin. Candy fell silent again. He looked at his friends one by one. Did Candy need to tell them all about Athar? Don't cover anything from us, boss, said King as he looked over at Candy. Their faces were serious and worried. Makes Candy even harder to hide everything. The girl took a breath, stared one by one, the men in front of her with sad eyes. If I say Athar is behind all this, do you believe it? Candy asked the four boys in front of her, just as Candy thought. They were silent with shocked faces. You mean, boss, said the first son, who realized. Athar is dead, boss. How can he be the cause of all this? Added King did not understand. I'll tell you everything, Candy decided later. From behind the windshield, a man with a black leather jacket attached to his burly body is staring out. Her brown eyes were sharp. Towards a girl who is currently sitting surrounded by four boys in front of her. Is Mr. Athar sure we are safe here? Asked a man who became the guy's driver. Athar pulled his smile aside. They will never know. Is that the woman we're after, sir? Miss Aluna Candy? Asked the man again. Athar nodded, then looked back at Candy from afar. It has been a long time, and the girl has changed a lot. Athar takes his cell phone. Open the messaging app. Find Aluna Candy's contact there. Then start working on her phone. Athar. Sanjaya. Hey, Candy. I miss you. After typing that, Athar turned back. He found the look on the surprised faces of the women across the street. Of course, Candy was surprised to read her message. I just told to, sir. I was paid $300 million to inject a paralyzing drug into Sergio Abraham's patient. You go to an expensive school only to be paid $300 million and put someone else's name at risk? Asked Arjuna, unable to stop thinking. What did you do when you took your medical oath? Tama stared at Dr. Sean in annoyance. I was threatened too, sir. The doctor looked scared. If I don't want to do what they want, my family will be at stake. They all look at each other. It is not impossible if this doctor is telling the truth. Given that their current enemy is the Mafia leader who justifies any means to smooth his plans. I'll give you 1 minute explain, said Diwa. They all stared at Dr. Sean. Dr. Sean nodded. At that time there were about 2 men who came to me. They asked me to paralyze the patient and even die. At first I refused. I could swear because I never wanted to be a murderer. But, whoever they are, they know who my family is and threaten to involve my family if I don't comply with their request. The man said solemnly. Once I refused, my younger siblings suddenly had an accident. And that was their doing, so I was forced to follow their wishes. It was seen that the man showed his weak side. The face flushed with eyes that started to drop clear crystals. Dr. Sean turned his gaze towards God. You said you could pay me many times over, right? I concluded you are not an ordinary person, then. Diwa replied while raising an eyebrow. I don't need money. If all of you are trying to find out about that person, I am willing to help. But please, free me from them. The man in the doctor's white coat looked pleading. Arjuna touched the god's shoulder, causing the man to turn his head towards him. Do not easily believe it, but somehow my feeling is an honest doctor, said Arjuna. Arjuna Pradipta never doubted the feeling. Have what evidence we can believe? Asked Tama, still wearing a fierce face. Proof of transfer. Let us track down the culprit, suggested Arjuna. Dr. Sean shook his head. They pay with cash. Even here different people don't call. They play clean, said Diwa. There must be a gap, said Arjuna, thinking sharply. I've heard them mention one name, said Dr. Sean, creating attention when the man looked away at her. Who? Asked Diwa, his tone serious. They always mention Harisanjaya, sir. No more mistake. Tanned. Wet. I sent Zero a new TikTok, exclaimed Ari while hitting King's arm next to him. King turned his head, saw the direction of Ari's cell phone screen. What? It is hard. It looks easy, said Ari. Both of them watched the TikTok video sent by their Zero Younger classmate. Just tick it off, said Alvin, shaking his head embarrassedly with the attitude of Ari and King. Currently, they are gathering at Wabaha, because Candy didn't want to go home and invited her to gather at Wabaha. Even though there has been no official order for Eagle to return again, their brotherly ties remain close. And Wabaha will always be their gathering place, whether there is Eagle or not. I am lonely. Because Era broke my chat, said Eri while putting on a sour face. So don't be a fake boy. Chirp, Putra. Fake boy was born from a good boy who was hurt. Now I am one of them. Ari defended himself. True fake boy laughs at your reason. Rai, said King with a teasing laugh at Ari. Basic Ari fake boy KW. Candy has been silent since earlier. His head was really dizzy thinking about the series of events that existed. Starting from the initial terror to what was the reason Harris Sanjaya did this. Where is Athar, who always stands at the front? If anyone dares to disturb Candy. Why is Athar the one who hurts him the most now? Boss? Is there a problem? Asked the son. He always watched Candy, who kept silent. And the silence of the girl must be something. Maybe Candy couldn't share what she was thinking, because all they knew was that the girl didn't like burdening other people into her troubles. Therefore, Candy decided to disband Eagle, because she thought that the terrorists wanted destruction for Eagle. However, Candy was wrong. The terrorists targeted Candy instead of Eagle. "I am confused," Candy said, making all the attention now turn to him. "Confused why, boss?" asked Alvin. Candy fell silent again. He looked at his friends one by one. Did Candy need to tell them all about Athar? "Don't cover anything from us, boss," said King as he looked over at Candy. Their faces were serious and worried, makes Candy even harder to hide everything. The girl took a breath, stared one by one the men in front of her with sad eyes. "If I say Athar is behind all this, do you believe it?" Candy asked the 4 boys in front of her. Just as Candy thought, they were silent with shocked faces. "You mean, boss?" said the first son, who realized. "Athar is dead, boss. How can he be the cause of all this?" Added King did not understand. "I'll tell you everything," Candy decided later. From behind the windshield, a man with a black leather jacket attached to his burly body is staring out. Her brown eyes were sharp, towards a girl who is currently sitting surrounded by 4 boys in front of her. "Is Mr. Athar sure we are safe here?" asked a man who became the guy's driver. Athar pulled his smile aside. "They will never know. Is that the woman we're after, sir?" "Miss Aluna Candy?" asked the man again. Athar nodded, then looked back at Candy from afar. "It has been a long time, and the girl has changed a lot." Athar takes his cell phone. Open the messaging app. Find Aluna Candy's contact there. Then start working on her phone. Athar, Sanjaya, "Hey, Candy, I miss you." After typing that, Athar turned back. He found the look on the surprised faces of the women across the street. Of course, Candy was surprised to read her message.